Welcome back, everyone, to DBDLeague. This is another Scrim Night or Community Night. Depends on where you set the focus. Scrim Night in terms of having an amazing best of three between Frikandel and Eunoia ahead of us. Two teams that are trying to get their name further into the competitive community, trying to show us today, are they a potential candidate for the All Hallows League 2024? It's a great chance for these teams, and they seem to be really, really motivated in the background. We just talked to them, welcomed them, so we are excited for that. On the other hand, Community Night, because there is no delay on days like this, and this allows us to have some discussions. You can drop some feedback, you can ask questions that you always wanted to ask. So if you would like to, then use this chance. It is really great to not be on a 10-minute delay for once. With me, an absolute legend here, also smashing the best of five with me today and tomorrow. So we cannot get enough from each other. Acta, welcome in. How are you doing today?
Quite literally, not even the United States government could keep me away from you, Dyer. It's as simple as that. Very happy to be here. Done with university now. Done with studying. So instead, I get to live the good life of having to sit indoors and eat chips and play video games all day, and then even commentate video games as well, which is what we're going to be doing today. As we said, two teams who are on the up and up, and it's always good to keep an eye on these players because, you know, every team has to start somewhere, right? So personally, I of course have no real idea about these teams, you know, who they are, who's playing for them, what their specialists will be, but that means no one does, and so there's beauty in that as well. And some of these players could end up being some of the top competitive players in the future. Give them the time, give them the hours and the practice like we are giving them right now, and it's gonna be brilliant to watch them kind of develop over time. So keep an eye out. Some of these players might end up on the radar in the future. Again, not that we're currently familiar with any of them, but, you know, we can wait around for it.
Absolutely, and we often hear this question, how do I get into CompDBD? It's in the chat right now. How do you get into CompDBD? It's a rough time, I feel like, because CompDBD is pretty often seen like a bubble, like a secondary parallel world that exists next to the other one. So first step you should do is play the DBDL ladder, go into some 1v1s, meet some people. If you have a person in the 1v1 ladder that is really, really good, ask them for some tips, some advices that can definitely help you a lot. And then right into the looking for team channel, fill out all the application forms you find, go to as many tryout sessions that you can find. It's good experience, even though the team says at the end, well, not working out just yet, it can still be a good experience. So you're already, it's like a little bit of an application process, getting used to that. And I mean, if you have some friends even, and you have a regular Swift, and you say, we are a very, very, very good Swift that is not only abusing double and triple duplicated perks, but also kind of trying to go towards scrims and stuff, you are also welcome to join the community night, and you are welcome to apply to play here potentially already next week. So Savannah would be the person to DM in this case. Or you can DM me and I will send you to Savannah because I'm lazy. But this would be some alternatives to go. Actor, do you have any particular additional way how people can make it into comp, or any suggestion that I didn't cover yet?
I'm not much of a comp player, to be honest. I feel like what you said is, well, first of all, is like, do you have the appetite for it, you know? And that's why joining the ladder, doing 1v1, stuff like that, because, like, remember that unlike a lot of other games, Dead by Daylight, we have to very specifically and carefully balance it around competitive play. It is its own separate bubble. Not in a bad way, not in a way where it diminishes the main public match experience, but it is so different in a team environment and a competitive environment than it is playing casually, right? It's night and day. So I would say, join on the ladders, see if there are anyone looking for teams. start off basic and just see, okay, do you enjoy this? Because to a degree, you are picking up a brand new game. Obviously, not exactly, but the experience is so different and the gameplay is so different that you have to realize, okay, well, do I enjoy playing with all these balancings and thinking about, score conditions and playing carefully around teams and objectives and things like that versus just going into a public match, putting on like the strongest build you want or something fun and then just going in and killing everyone on Nurse, right? It's a case of get the appetite for it and then decide from there. In terms of joining, everything that Dyer said is pretty spot on. It's a way for us to just shamelessly plug DBDLeague a little bit more, Come in, join the 1v1 ladder, have a good time, all that stuff.
Yeah, the 1v1 ladder, I think, is one key element. Not only to get into comp, obviously you need a team for that, but for your individual chase skill, because during the I'm losing my words. During the team practice sessions. So during the team practice sessions, you're most of the time working about communication, strategies, dealing with difficult gameplay scenarios. So like having an early down, how do we recover from that? How do our perk builds fall together? Are they creating a strategy, some sort like this? And the individual skill, like the chase skill, the mind gaming, this is a responsibility for each individual player. And this is something that you cannot really practice anymore in the team practice. So playing the ladder would be important anyway. Then someone says, I don't know how much pressure there is on the production team right now, but I think that a mini tutorial on how to get started between matches would be good for filling the gap. What do you think? I think it's a great idea. I think it's something we can definitely note down for the All Hallows League. At the moment, we are already preparing the playoffs production. That is at least some adjustments, not an overall complete change. And we are currently working with our artists on the 6th anniversary of DBDLeague, which is going to happen on Sunday, 23rd June. So if you're catching us on that specific Sunday, we are celebrating 6 years of DBDLeague, and currently all artists and all production creators are bound to this anniversary video that we are planning.
DBDLeague's birthday, let's go!
Yes! Little purple friend.
6 years old, oh my god.
It's crazy.
It's growing up so fast, brings a tear to my eye.
Yeah, and I was just about to say it looks good in the background because we were about to load in, and now Behavior decided to punish us with a lobby crash. We will quickly bring it back, but this allows us to quickly talk about the killers we have. Spirit, Unknown, Singularity, Nurse, and Plague. Spirit and Nurse being in a best of 5 is already telling me that these newcomer, I will just meanly call them newcomer teams, are very motivated and are not scared at all going into the S tiers.
Yeah, not at all. I think like the S tier kill is always interesting, Spirit, Nurse, but if we do get there, because I believe this is a best of 5, right? So not every set will necessarily be played out. Just, am I correct in that?
We are actually playing all 5.
We're playing all 5.
Because
Amazing.
Scrim Night.
So Scrim Night. Yeah, fair play. So I'm quite interested. If you're talking about communication, it's almost a given that to be a comp DBD player, you would be very good in the 1v1, right? I don't doubt that any of the players would be struggling in that capacity. So I feel like killers such as Plague or Singularity or Unknown, who aren't quite as lethal in the 1v1, but can apply a lot of team pressure. Plague specifically, that's such a team, like, it's basically the measure of do you have good communication or not. Because, like, fighting against a Plague is like dealing with a million different things all at once at the same time and having to stay calm and, stay on track, have your plan together. Don't get overwhelmed by the fact that you are constantly injured and the fact that your friend is dying on the hook and screaming because they're infected with some crazy plague from the Middle Ages or something like that. It's a rough one. So that'll be where the actual team play element comes in to see whether these players work well as a team.
And this is I think the biggest challenge also now back to the producer trainee is not correct. We have Savannah on production today, an absolute pro. I'll have to take that out. Big shout out, by the way, real quick, to Savannah in the background doing the production today. I honestly think that producer is the most stressful job that we have in DBDL, because you're directly responsible for what the people see and how the quality of DBDL is. So big shout out to Savannah there. And we are in, and what I wanted to mention is you talked about like coordination, your team play, etc. And I think this is also one of the biggest challenges at the very beginning. How well are you doing in forming your team? Not only joining a team, how good are you in forming the team, forming the chemistry, maintaining the chemistry, and more important, how are you dealing with wins and losses, and how are you getting overhyped? Are you getting maybe a little bit ahead of yourself? And are you able to take necessary steps when there has been a loss? But now we are in with the Spirit. Leonidas on the killer side. Rochi Snake is going to take the first injury here relatively quickly into the trial. Frikandel here definitely under quite some pressure, and that's a very nice first down.
This is kind of the issue with Spirit, as Leonidas is actually going to be splitting up pressure as well. If you can get an injure here onto the Adam, you don't even necessarily need to commit to the down here, but it's going to be going for it anyway. Fair enough, go for it, bud. The issue is that Spirit just turns so many loops into just a straight 50-50 there. And Jake clearly lost that, thinking that they didn't need to drop the pallet. Credit to the team, they are able to get that quick pickup, onto the Jake. They'll probably be healing him up as well, but that is a little more time off the clock, off the gens for Leonidas right now. And Savannah is very annoyed at you, Dyer, for calling her a trainee.
Yeah, she didn't hear that I called her a pro afterwards in producing, so I'm getting shredded at the moment in the background chat, ladies and gentlemen. I will try to cast and survive. Meanwhile, the will of survival is whole. What was that? Well, your behavior was helping a little bit there on the hit, but we have two injuries already, and Zero of Lurking is going down as well. Our Spirit is going to apply a lot of pressure here, and we see a very aggressive playstyle. This is what I really like to see. Usually we see, or we saw in the past, that a lot of Spirit players are becoming a little bit more careful, because Spirit has also faced some reworks, quite some nerfs, so they are careful. They don't want to give away their slugs and just go for the hooks. I mean, here we have a very aggressive and very confident Spirit player.
Yeah, in such a good position as well. Going to be catching the Jake out here. Did get healed up earlier, but is just going to be a trade right now. Interesting to see whether Leonidas opts to, is just going to be committing to the Adam. Has to wait for that, speed boost to wear off, and Shack Pallet is going to be gone for it. Right now, just focusing on fundamentals. Get Adam out of the game as soon as you can. That's simply what is going to be working. Oh, Adam! Oh, beef of the century. Jesus Christ. That's unlucky.
Yeah, I was like, maybe they are going to find themselves with the wonder here that this is not going to hit, but he's going down in the pallet. Will we see a pallet save? That's going to be the interesting question. Frikandel went for it, but a second too late. Unfortunate for AJ here, who will find himself straight, CEO of Lurking, who will find himself back onto the hook here, and the full elimination as well. That was actually a really important pallet save to get, because an elimination on 4 generators remaining is quite a terrible result so far. We can only hope that there are some generators with progress, so that the number down there in the bottom left corner looks a lot worse than the actual progress in the game. But if this is a 3v1 from 4 gens remaining onwards, then Frikandel will have one hell of a challenge here.
Yeah, I mean, the difference between 3v1 and 4v1 is absolutely night and day, and it's kind of what we were talking about as to how comp DBD is so different from regular pubs, as we said earlier, in which it is kind of that idea of, because the 3v1 is so strong, you are kind of just incentivized to get a survivor out of the game as quick as possible, There are debates about that as to how good that is or how fun that is, but when everyone is competing on this high level, it seems to kind of even out. You know, if everyone is amazing at the game and employing the same strategies, it's actually super interesting to see how these teams adapt to things like that, whether they end up taking hits for each other, how long they're going to let someone hang on the hook, how much they're going to pressure out the gens as well. You know, 3v1s are difficult, but they aren't completely unwinnable. We've seen plenty of evidence of that in DBDLeague.
And they are doing a really good job here. It feels like the early elimination made the Survivor team realize that they are having a dangerous Spirit in front of him, where they definitely need to play a lot more careful, cannot show themselves too early, should be very, very passive as well, leaving the generators earlier than they need maybe, and preventing injuries by all costs. Unfortunately, that's not going to work for AJ here, but Leonidas now going for the down, committing to the chase, dragging a little bit away from the active generators. That's going to be a second generator in the distance. The Survivor team might be able to double up and get a third one out of the way, and especially one generator from the 3 and 4 gen setup that we are having on the right side of our current chase. That would be important. AJ serving the juice here, going towards the next pallet that should be in reach as well. Leonidas will have to go into the 50-50. The vault, unfortunately, coming out. It looked like AJ has the patience there, but then towards the end he got a little bit nervous. Slug coming out again. This is something that our Survivor team will be aware of now, though. They know that Leonidas loves to slug, so they will try to rotate immediately towards the down as soon as the new chase is starting.
I mean, there's also the idea that there's the eruption in Plague, right? And when that goes off, Leonidas can see that both survivors are working on this generator, and the priorities shift. Well, it's like, okay, I could get this guy on the hook right now, but that would probably involve giving up a gen. Instead, I'm just going to go straight there, apply some more aggression, apply some more pressure to make sure that it's not going to gain too much more progress. And so Leonidas focusing on the gens allows the pickup to come through onto AJ, so potentially a bit of a greedy slug, but definitely focusing on gen pressure and gen pressure alone right now. Build that we're seeing here is relatively standard. Call of Brine, I mean, it hasn't been a great regression perk since way back when, but the information that you can get from it anytime survivors are completing skill checks on a generator, which is most of the time, to be honest, it means that you do just have very good information as to whether a survivor is on any gen at any given time.
Absolutely, yeah, and we can, like, if they do exactly what you just said, like this spreading up, this very coordinated gameplay, this coordination, the voice chat as well, who's attacking what generator, where's the Spirit at the moment. This is setting a lot of tasks now on the Survivor team. And of course, they would love to have 4 survivors. And I feel like they got really, really run over by Leonidas being such an aggressive Spirit at the beginning, by going so aggressively for the chases as well. And now they lost a team member, and really now they realized what they are facing here. Now they are doing a fantastic job. We see it right here. That's a very early pullback from the generators. Orochi Snake here trying to be as careful as he could, but we are immediately on to the phase walk again, and we are not far away from the active generators. That will be a problem here, but that's going to be the exhaustion perk, either life or balance landing coming out and saving the day here. That was an important one. They will need to reset though, because they don't want to have an injured survivor here in this 4-gen setup by Leonidas, but also the gen pressure here is rising, a reset hopefully coming out, good communication at the moment. So this has potential, Actor.
Yeah, and Piker in chat is asking, how does this work, 4v4 or 4v1 for the round? So there are going to be 5 sets played today. The first team will go on Killer and the other team will go on Survivor, and then they'll swap over. Generally, this is a scrim, so we're not exactly scoring it, but how it works is the number 1 win condition is generators. So if Team A completes 5 generators and Team B completes 4, then no matter what else happens in the game, Team A wins. The second win condition is then hook stages. So if Team A get 10 hook stages and Team B gets 9, then Team A will win that one. And then the last one is fresh hooks, where if Team A gets 4 fresh hook stages, so each individual survivor has been hooked at least once, and Team B only gets 3 fresh hook stages, so one survivor was never hooked, then Team A will win that. Hopefully that kind of clarifies how it works. 2v8 customs will go crazy eventually. DBDLeague should DBDLeague run a 2v8 tournament? We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Now,
I mean, that's on dire to think about.
Does back onto Nia here. I'm more worried about Nia for a moment here, because if this survivor is going down too quickly, then we will have a difficult situation here. That's a little bit of a sprint there, so Nia with the balanced landing here. Will we be able to go on a longer run? No, edge map Andy is coming to an end, but the good news is, and this is something to point out, dragging the killer as far away as possible from the 4-gen setup. We have a lot of space there. It is immediately punished with the 3rd generator coming out. There is a good chunk of pressure now. The survivors can organize themselves. One can stay over here next to the fun bus. The other one can go on the bottom side and towards the unhook already. And then we have the split between the unhook task and the generator task, except though if someone is rotating towards the unhook and we would find them. There were a few scratch marks over here. The question is, who was it and where are they now? It seems like we don't have the poll just yet, so Leonidas is actually losing quite some time here outside of the generator setup, but Snake is going to be found, and if that's going to be a 2-tap, then Frikandel will be in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, Snake has been caught out quite a lot here, and kind of just to elaborate on what Dai was saying earlier, for anyone who's maybe new to Comp DBD, in public matches, where you die isn't really something that gets a lot of thought put towards it, you know? You just kind of, well, okay, I ran the killer over here, over here, over here, and now I'm dead here. With pro players where the margin for error is so slim, oftentimes it's about going down in a really isolated corner of the map where it's away from the active generators that are being worked on. Oftentimes, if you get to go down within, say, if the killer has corrupt intervention and you're able to run around and then go down in the corrupt generators, that's great because it means the killer isn't near to the 4 gens that are being worked on, and you're able to just bully those out instead. Because it still takes time for the killer to actually put someone on the hook, and every second that you can take to just continue working on gens is very valuable at this level. Like, I mean, we've seen matches which have been literally come down to a matter of seconds, and the difference in that is quite literally running into a corner and having the killer walk an extra 5 seconds to get you on a hook.
Oh, and once again a millimeter swing right there. The second one, though, will find the way onto the back, and we see Brian is calling from the other gen far away. We're immediately phasing back, and this is something the survivors can now use for their advantage. They can pressure generators, so Leonidas has to go back to it, and in that moment the injured survivor will be able to get away, and we are going for a reset. We can tell how much this game is coming to a slowdown at the moment, though. No side can make a mistake here. If the killer would be falling into overcommitment, we would potentially have the 4th generator coming out, and if the survivors are getting a little bit too risky, then we might have the 4-man slug very soon, or 3-man slug, since we have 3 survivors remaining. Catching the next survivor that is already rotating back towards the generators here. Filthy gen rushes detected. Leonidas doesn't want that to happen, but he needs to be worried about the fun bus gen now. So we can tell, even when you are a good killer, if the survivor team is coordinated, you basically have to be at 2 locations at the same time.
Leonidas does have a really nice 3-gen here, though, this setup here with the fun bus shack and the gen just by the wayside as well. It's just a corner of map which can be held pretty efficiently. Leonidas, however, going to be moving away from that, sensing something over here. I think recognizing that survivors were healing, thinking they'd be in a corner map and going to the corner, and they got it half right. Ended up in roughly a decent position, so it's going to be more injuries out. Sloppy Butcher has been bought, so those injuries are going to be of some significance, but now, again, the chase happening on this side of the map, exactly where the gens are not. Right now, if you're near, you are screaming to Snake and AJ, go work on the gens, go work on the fun bus, break that 3-gen while you can. But unfortunately, going down, and Eruption is going to proc. These gens are losing a lot of their regression. There is the regression limit in place now, and that should be coming up on that relatively soon. But for the time being, regression still applied with that Eruption.
And this will be more... Oh, that's a very ambitious swing right there. It sounded like the killer was a little bit panicking, but that's not going to land. AJ here, we do see a little bit of moving grass. Unfortunately, you're very easy to track due to that. Next rotation coming in, and we are trying to get the down, but the vault coming in time. And somehow these survivors are still finding resources on the Wrecker's Yard. I mean, Wrecker's Yard has quite some resources, but it's not overloaded with resources. But Leonidas has also not broken the pallets earlier because he was so busy with applying the pressure, and this is coming out as a little bit of a punishment now. The problem is we are inside of the active generators. We are not dragging the killer away from the gens at the moment. Leonidas is happily taking the hook stage over here because now the entire game is in one part of the map, finding Orochi Snake as well, who wanted to go for the unhook, and now the survivor team might be in a little bit of trouble.
Well, yeah, Nia is trying to work on this gen. Snake has been pressured out going for that unhook, so there's no one really to stop that from happening. That gen cannot be regressed any further at all, so Leonida is going to have a hell of a time trying to defend this one, and the gens on the other side as well. I mean, credit to the survivors, they did have a really rough start, losing Lurking incredibly early, but they've been making a little bit of a comeback. They have given 7 hook stages over for it, but they're still in this, and this is still eminently winnable for them right now. Very impressive play coming out, showing that they are able to stay calm in these high-pressure situations. Exactly what you were talking about earlier, preparing for the worst. You know, what happens when someone dies incredibly early? Well, it seems like this team has planned for it very well.
Absolutely. And now Leonidas is under pressure again because the survivors have just made another recovery, basically. We had someone on hook, we had an injury as well, and now we are back to just having 1 injury. So it looks quite good again for the survivor team. Nia taking an injury, and if the Spirit is following this, then we are so far away from the gens that I would hope that the 4th generator is coming out with a double up. A very, very nice DH coming out here as well. That was very clean by Nia. That's exactly what you need. Now you lost quite some time. You're in the wrong area on the Wrecker's Yard, and you do not even have the down on the survivor team. So this is now an absolute great play here by the survivor team, causing more and more of a recovery. We will see 2 resets in the distance in a moment. Never mind. We're repairing the generators injured, and I do think that is fair to call that a mistake at the moment. We do get generator number 4 though, a very important generator, talking about the win condition, because now the other survivor team would not be able to ignore a 3-gen setup any longer. The problem is that we have the hook stage right here next to the active generators, 60 seconds until the elimination. So we might either need to smash through the 5th gen in just a couple of seconds here, or we will need a little bit of a wonder.
Yeah, the thing is, there's still a really good 3-gen here. Like, but it's not quite as effective maybe with the Fun Bus gen going over the way, but this is still eminently holdable here for Leonidas playing solo. I don't know, it seemed like maybe the survivors just got a little too impatient there. They've been, you don't really blame them, they've been going at this for so long, but Orochi sticking that gen while injured as well, instead of taking the time to maybe reset in the corner with Nia, didn't quite work out. And AJ is just going to be trading on this as well. Trading not ideal here because it does give over some extra regression with the eruption. I mean, right now, Nia has to be just working on this corner gen incredibly hard, but Leonidas is going to be going straight there.
Yeah, and there's going to be the unhook now, but that will come with the punishment because the survivors are kind of trapped here, and we will of course take the survivor that is going to be in the that looked a little bit disgusting there onto the back, but that's going to be the quick down. and that we all know what that means. It will be hook stage number 10, and therefore it's also going to be the elimination 2v1 scenario. Another possibility now is that you try to set up for an endgame play. Either you are having one survivor escape through the hatch. That will be difficult because the killer knows where the hatch will spawn, right next to the shack. But trying to get someone out the exit doors would be a chance. And since 4k1 is a very normal win condition that appears quite often, and the other survivor team cannot ignore the 3-gen, you might be able to 4k, and then you would break the tie if your survivor is now escaping. So endgame play could be a good option here.
Endgame going to be very important for both these teams right now. AJ is injured here and Spirit does have power-up, so likely not going to be lasting long in this chase whatsoever. I would have been glad to have been proven wrong, but unfortunately odds were very much stacked against AJ right now. If the game was slow before, this is where it turns into an absolute crawl, because now Leonidas recognizes AJ is dead on hook, right? It's not enough to just go put AJ on the hook, have him die, and, you know, have this ace just escape that easily, because the hatch is set in stone. Whenever there is whenever on a map which has the shack on it, there is always an offering which requires that the hatch will be at shack, right? So both the killer and the survivor know where it is, but the survivor, if they're uninjured, they can just kind of run to it, and there isn't a whole lot the killer can do, right? So instead, Leonidas is going to be leaving AJ on the ground for as long as possible while searching for Nia. Nia, there is surely no way that they can really poke their head out, right? You know, you can't go to pick up AJ. You'd be far too vulnerable. If you work on a gen and you complete it, well, then you've just given your location away to the killer, right? This is just a complete, total look around in circles, and Leonidas is finally going to decide to get that pick onto AJ. So it'll be interesting to see how both the survivor and killer choose to play this hatch, because it is going to spawn in almost immediately after this hook.
Yeah, we need to go back now. Leonidas has to go for a sprint here. As said, our fourth survivor will not try to go for the hatch, since the killer knows that it's going to spawn right here. This is another thing we are doing to reduce the RNG and try to aim for the most fair play. The exit gates look like they are not the worst for the survivor though, because we do have quite some rocks and tiles in between. The fun bus is...
vision isn't ideal.
It's not ideal. He definitely has to move some meters here, but it could be way worse for the killer. So, it will be rough for the survivor actor.
It's also a Spirit, you know. It's all very relative. Yeah. Maybe you aren't feeling so bad if it's a nemesis who has to lumber across the entirety of the map just to get close to you. And yeah, right here, Leonidas spots the survivor trying to sneakily get the exit gate right now. There is no way in hell that Nia lives. There's no hatch to get through. There's no way that you open a gate. I'm sure that maybe if this were a public lobby, then Leonidas would, you know, give the escape anyway, get some plus rep points on the Steam profile. However, we do not care about that at DBDLeague. Do we say that we promote being toxic and getting minus rep? Surely not. Surely not.
No, but I believe that our competitors will have a great profile of a lot of minus reps due to all their strategies and all their efficient gameplay.
No.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, 4k1 coming out, and it's a clean 4k1 as well. That means that the upcoming killer on the side of Frikandel needs a 4k on 2 gens remaining. Eunoia just needs all the generators done, but getting all the generators done always sounds easier than it actually is, especially against a good Spirit, especially on the Wrecker's Yard. One unfortunate down at the beginning, you're going down into the basement, is already tricky as well. So there's a lot that can happen here. Before we hop on a break, real quick, the chance to ask a question. If you have anything about Season 9, about the Scrim Nights, about what actor had for breakfast, anything like that. If actor Snapchat.
Do you want to know what I had for breakfast?
Yes.
I didn't have breakfast. So I woke up. So I woke up at 8. I got into the gym for 9, had an hour workout, and then I got some beef jerky on the way back, so I guess that was my breakfast, like beef jerky. But it wasn't really breakfast, you know.
See, ladies and gentlemen, our casters are so underpaid they cannot even have breakfast in the morning. They're sitting here starving.
When this is done, I'm gonna have ice soup. I'm gonna have ice soup for dinner after this is done. It'll be delicious. I'll love it. What is today's lottery number? 3. So yeah, it's 3.
Marcel, how old is Daya? I'm unfortunately closer to 30 now than to 20.
That's vague. Very vague. Reasonable.
It is vague, but it describes my life mood.
Yeah, pay the so here's the thing, Sluggy. Whenever like anyone asks about payment, Daya's like headphones just mysteriously stop working for like a couple minutes, and then like they come back. You
Wait,
said this yourself the other day. No, never mind. No,
am I lagging? Hello?
Hello? It's nothing. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Well, live and learn.
Do either of you cast this stream? And yeah, I'm 26. I don't stream. I was streaming 4 years ago, and then I hosted one tournament in private on my channel, and then that was it pretty much. Actually, do you stream?
No, I just cast. But I am... Dead by Daylight is actually my secondary game I have, you know. I'm predominantly an Overwatch caster, so I've casted Overwatch for... just over a year now. I've done mostly kind of university competitions. There are like 2 big leagues in the UK that deal with universities, and I've done most of my work for them. I've also done some in-person work, so at LAN events, and also the Red Bull Gaming Sphere in London. That was cool as hell. I did that the other week. But yeah, Dead by Daylight is a secondary game for me. Because I say it's a secondary game, but I also get like by far the most viewers. Like in terms of viewership, like my best streams are the Dead by Daylight ones, because DBDLeague is just overpowered in that sense.
Do you get paid for your Overwatch casts?
Some of them. Like, I mean, at the Red Bull space, they paid me in all the Red Bull I could carry. Infinite Red Bull. That's how they paid me. The issue is I don't like Red Bull, so that was a problem, you know. Do I get paid? University events tend to pay really well, actually. So for the past year, I've been doing the student gigs, and that's with Newell and NSE, and they pay very well on time. They're very professional. It's a great setup. I can't complain, to be perfectly honest. Most of the time I'm doing gigs for like North American collegiate teams at like 3 a.m, who are barely able to put a stream together, let alone pay people for them, you know. But I ain't gonna cry about it, you know. It's more of a side job than a main job.
Do
you get paid for running DBDLeague, Daya?
No, I don't.
No, it just does this for the love of the game.
Like it all started 2019. I mean, Will founded DBDLeague, and for me, the comp journey started during COVID. I was playing DBD always with my German friends, and then I was hearing about competitive DBD, and then I was like, this is something I want to do. This is something I would like to get into. And then I was meeting people. We were starting to grind practices. We were starting to grind the first tournaments. And I knew, okay, this is nice. I have a ton of time because I was studying in university, but every lecture was online. So I need a hobby to distract myself during COVID times. And I was starting as scorekeeper. And then I was doing DBE a lot. And then, as we all know, Will decided to leave DBDLeague because it became too much work, and I said I'm taking it, and I was only able to take it because of so many people in the background. That hasn't changed until today. It's really a group project with so many people coming together, and sometimes it would be quite nice if you would be paid for DBDL, and I don't think I'm alone with that, because a lot of people are putting 80, 90 hours a week in sometimes. When the new tournament starts, when the new ladder season starts, and so on. I think some people are saying it would be nice, but it's not the primary motivation for anyone. So we are quite fine. We are vibing. If we get paid with love, then we have everything that we need. I also saw that there was the question, where are people? Yeah?
I mean, like, being paid is nice, but, like, the thing is, like, when you're setting up an amateur tournament, there are so many considerations of just making it work in the first place that payment becomes very secondary, you know? Like, I'm not going to sit here and cry about, like, not being paid for DBDLeague. Same way I'm not going to cry about not being paid for most of my casting gigs, because it's just kind of a case of, like, well, it's not realistic, you know? Most internet jobs, most casting jobs, admin jobs aren't paid, you know? If it does get to that level, then that's cool as hell, but there's also the consideration of, like, well, a prize pool, you know? That's a big one, where a lot of, like, I don't know the details of, like, revenue DBDL earns via Twitch and ads and stuff like that, and I'm not going to ask, but I feel like a lot of that has to go into actually having the players kind of having a prize to fight for, you know? And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and
everything
hey, I like the job, so I can't complain.
Yeah, it goes into the prize pool, it goes into the artists. The artists are being paid. Because most of the people we are working with are people that are taking commissions, and you cannot say to an artist, well, DBDL needs the production for the Halloween event. Just don't take 10 commissions and work on our production. Like, for example, the Coal Tower showcase video that we won was doing the voiceover for Narrow with all the rendering. I believe that was 60 hours of render time. And all of that. And if you tell him, like, don't take commissions in the equivalent of 60 hours of work time, yeah, we cannot do that. So the artists are pretty much being paid.
There's a couple of people in chat who are actually asking about getting into casting, and this is like this is like my specialist subject. So I have to go into this just a little bit. Do I have your permission, Mr. Wolf?
Absolutely. Just for DBDL, if you look for casting in DBDL, send me a DM.
Yeah,
this is how you would.
Yeah, this is the DBDL. Just overall, message Dyer. Yeah, there we are.
But for overall actor, let's go.
So, I mean, the first thing is deciding what game you want to do. If you're trying to make a career out of it, you either need to be at least tier 3 in like 3 games, or tier 1 in 1 game. Being tier 1 in 1 game is possible, but difficult. You have to be exceptionally talented, exceptionally charismatic. There's a lot of things that go into it. So more likely you're going to go along the broader route. Just pick a game that you know and enjoy. It's as simple as that, you know? Like, I'm not going to be casting League of Legends anytime soon, because that's terrible. That's a terrible game, right? But I enjoy Overwatch, and I have played it since release, so it made sense that I would go to that. In terms of getting opportunities, join broadcast.gg on Discord. That's the one place I'd recommend. They have constant postings for jobs, casting, producing, and observing for your major esports titles, such as Overwatch, Valorant, League of Legends, Rainbow Six, things like that. That's how you get into casting for major esports titles. If you want to get into casting DBDLeague, then send a message to Direwolf. Speaking of casting DBDLeague, we're casting DBDLeague now. We're in a game. We have been for the past minute or so, but I was yapping.
Stop the yapping, let's go into it. Nia on the Spirit. And this is how you counter a 4K1 when you have a difficult win condition with an early down, and the survivor's getting very, very confident here. We do see Sponge coming in with the flashlight. Abdel is around as well. That firecracker hits! What? I was expecting that the Spirit was already ahead of that firecracker, but never mind. That's going to be, at least now, a delayed injury onto Abdel here. We still have the slugged survivor, but now with the reset coming there, will we be able to go for another down? The answer is yes. Flashlight person is responsible for the pickup, so we catch them here. It's a very chaotic start, Actor, and I don't know yet who's in the better position here.
Well, I mean,
I think the killer.
You said that, but now there are 2 survivors on the floor. I think this is a decent, at least average position for the Spirit right now. This This 4K looking increasingly likely. If it could be done before 1 gen remaining, that's absolutely perfect. Pickup does actually come through onto Abdul last time, but Nia is so nearby, and actually, Claudette, I have no idea if that was intentional or not. We're just going to say yes it is, because we can gas up the players a little bit more, but that's absolutely ludicrous. As we say, this is a scrim, so while wins and losses matter for performance, of course, you generally don't read too much into it in terms of overall performance. A scrim is where you experiment. It's specifically, if you're going to fail, if you're going to mess up, this is where you do it, right? So it doesn't happen in the future, right? And that's also a case of if there are ties or anything like that, general rule set would dictate that we, you know, replay the set, or more importantly, just go on with sets until we are forced to replay a set. That's not going to be happening. Whatever the scores are, we'll just say, okay, those are the scores, on to the next game. You know, one team could technically win 5-0, the other could win 5-0. We're playing them all out. It doesn't really matter. The idea is for practice.
And this practice might be more of a very, very difficult challenge if our survivor team is not going for the resets and doesn't start to play a little bit more careful. They should have understood by now that Nia is a very dangerous spirit as well, and it's not only Team Eunoia that has a dangerous spirit in form of Leonidas there, Frikandel's killer. Nia coming out very strong straight from the start as well. Second hook stage, the survivor team does recover a little bit, and yeah, someone in the chat points out we have 2 aces that would usually be a restart and a penalty, but in the scrim night we are not really paying attention to that too much, so we will just make the team aware afterwards that they need to play 4 individual survivors, but we are all here for the chill and for the practice. But the second ace will be potentially punished for being the duplicate here. That's a very unfortunate zone right here. We don't have a lot where we can go to, but our spirit was anticipating a double back. Therefore, we're reaching this filler pallet, and this chase starts getting a little bit too long.
Yeah, and it makes sense why you would have the balance of individual survivors. Of course, now that you can see which survivor you're chasing with the indicator, it's not quite as bad, but when you have 4 survivors, all the same cosmetics, it's not particularly fair to be trying to figure out, okay, which one have I hooked, which one haven't I hooked, you know, it wouldn't be particularly fair on the killer, so it's just a small bit of balance that tends to work out. Best did get hit, so that is going to be the endurance popping in now, playing this pallet decently. Just kind of going to be... Not sure if that was an intentional play to just kind of bait the killer in, knowing that there's a survivor nearby to get either the pickup or the pallet save. Or whether it was just a little bit of beef. Regardless, it is going to be the first ace found out again. Besk is going to be lying on the floor for a little while longer right now. Would be interesting to see whether the survivors can rotate. But after the aggressive start from Nia, the survivors are doing pretty well. They're still 4 alive for the time being. Besk should be going down here. But let's see what the rest of the survivors are up to. I mean, there's some tremendous gem progress.
Yeah, there is a lot of gen progress, and our spirit will need to make more than just this pop goes to weasel kick. We will need to benefit from some injuries and some downs. Unfortunately, chasing here in this corner of the map is not really what you should do at the moment. You should take a look onto the generators. You should injure the survivors that are currently working on these generators, because you do have your sloppy that will cause quite some time loss on a reset. You will force them into the decision. Do we commit to the generators or do we go for a reset? But chasing the Claudette here in the corner was definitely a little bit of a time loss. Teleport or phasing coming out again onto the next ace. We'll find out in a second who of the aces it is. That's going to be our obsession. Abdel here, who was in danger before, but Nia, we do need some good phases now, and we need to make sure that we are going to hit these phases. That should be enough. Yeah, we don't have a resource here any longer, so that's going to be the injury. Commitment could be difficult already for the 4th generator. At least they might get punished with that. We can only hope that it's going to be in time with the down here. Nice mind game by Nia, and that's exactly a down the killer needs right now.
It's the classic Spirit 50-50, why the killer is so strong. That is normally a relatively average loop, as this gen does actually get popped, so that's breaking the worst of the 3 gen, and that's just breaking all of it. 5 generators done means that these survivors are going to be picking up the quote-unquote win here. They have had the better performance and the disrespect at the end there as well. It turns out that very deadly killers can be countered quite easily by simply dropping a plank of wood on their head. So if someone breaks into your house late at night, then just loop them, I guess.
Okay. If you ever have a demon in your bedroom, go to IKEA and just order a pallet. They will be able to help you with the paranormal stuff as well. Will they be able to all make it out? This is the last challenge here. All 3 survivors leaving. That would be a very, very nice start into the best of 5, though. 2 of them leaving, and that should be the hatch coming out for Claudette. That's a very, very nice move by Eunoia here. They will take the first set point. Frikandel played definitely very, very well, and at the very beginning, it looked like Frikandel and this very, very hectic start would take over the dominance, but then Eunoia fighting back so wonderfully and then getting the outs there as well. Yeah, promotion for IKEA. IKEA should sponsor DBDL. We'll try our best to advertise it.
If they can pay us in like the meatballs from IKEA, that would be absolutely wonderful. They are delicious. My God. I'm just saying.
We'll throw some woods and some meatballs at the killer.
yeah, exactly. I mean, IKEA would be a crazy Dead by Daylight map. You know, it would go kind of crazy. It would be
IKEA would be insane.
I mean, it would be like, it might be a bit too big. It would be a little too survivor-sided in that sense, because it's just absolutely massive. But it is an indoor map, I guess. So maybe that evens it out. Indoor maps generally slightly better for killer. I don't know. We'll have to theorize.
That's true, though. The hot dogs of DBDL, the purple hot dogs of DBDL, where we that we always sell during our streams, they are the best. But the IKEA hot dogs are okay as well. Not as good as the DBDL hot dogs, but
IKEA do hot dogs?
Certainly okay. IKEA are doing hot dogs in Germany, at least.
What? No way. What is IKEA doing, bro? I mean, like, I'm in my room, like, half the stuff in here is from IKEA, just, like, looking around. Like, it's when you go off to university, you have to do the big IKEA shop, you know? And that's where you get everything. Yeah. Like you get, like, your cooking stuff, like, all your bedding, like, washing up stuff. It's just all there, you know? Simple as that. But
Marcel, Sorry, yeah?
When I don't think there were any killers around or anyone, like, dropping pallets. I don't think so, at least.
Yeah, the customers are usually behaving. The staff is maybe dropping something when you ask too many questions.
Basically, they just drop a pallet on your head.
But you can design your IKEA order. Basically, you just get the bun and the sausage, and then you can go to a little station thing, and then you put whatever you want to have on it: pickles, onions, ketchup, mayonnaise.
Apparently UK IKEA also hot dog. I had no idea. I mean, I go to IKEA food. Generally, if I want a snack, I'm not running to IKEA. I don't actually know how far away my nearest IKEA is, and I can't drive, so it'll be a struggle, you know. Still,
IKEA is difficult for me because I'm not the thing is, when you're working as a teacher and you're dealing with kids every day, good, my students are older, but still, when you do, you would think you have a lot of patience and you would think you have iron will, to say it with the words of DBD. But when it comes to IKEA, building up a wardrobe or a bed or a desk or anything, I'm losing myself.
Dude,
I
like
cannot do
set.
that for more. Yeah,
it's super fun. I love building IKEA. But no, literally,
nine. No,
dude, it's so fun. Like whenever I was young, and like we'd get like, I remember like there was one time like we got like a desk for me, and I was just like, I want to build it myself, and I was like 11, and I did that. It took me a while, but I did that. It's so fun. I do not understand you, Direwolf. it's very, very sad that you don't enjoy building IKEA furniture.
I don't. I really
How
don't.
do the question for you? How do teams join these nights? Do they need to qualify, or do they just sign up?
You just send a message to Savannah, who's currently in chat in Discord. You will find her in the staff team.
Hi, Savannah.
You can also send a hi, Savannah. You can also send a message to me, and then I'll send you to Savannah because I'm lazy. And Savannah is better in organizing than I am. But this is basically how it works. We are looking for teams every Wednesday and Thursday. Ideally, one day is NA, one day is EU. But sometimes it's not possible to have American teams, especially on this time. I mean, it's noon in America, so we understand that it's hard to join these scrim nights. On the other hand, we cannot stay awake until 2 a.m. when we work the next day, so Americans are a little bit in trouble. It's actually funny, though, because back then, DBDL was a full American staff, and the time was in Eastern time, and everything was more around the Americans. And then when Will quit, and me and my team took over, since then it's a European staff team, mostly European staff team by 90%. Now we are having Central European time. We are streaming for the European time. So we basically robbed DBDL from the Americans. I think that's fair to say.
Yes. we need to take more from the Americans. Hex asking what the scrim is. It's just a practice. It's common in competitive games where you'll find a team roughly on your skill level, and you'll just arrange to play some custom matches in a competitive setting just to practice. It's as simple as that, really. Again, the idea is like winning or losing. It's nice, but it isn't the be-all and end-all, because you are ultimately practicing and experimenting. So there aren't any stakes here. Just not really. It's not really a tournament. It's just kind of practice.
That is very true. Someone says not the ad. Unfortunately, we have to play some ads because that is the primary or only income we have for DBDL, and it covers all the production costs, the prize pools, and everything else. So thank you for watching the ads and supporting us, or thank you to all the subscribers who went around the ads and are supporting us. I guess these are the two options that you have. We are on the Singularity on the second set here. It's going to something doesn't sit right with me. It should be the Unknown.
It should be the Unknown, yes. Singularity was scheduled in the third set. I mean, provided that everything's being played by the correct rule set, I guess we just do Singularity set and then do the Unknown set, so fair play. I think because of this infraction,
they switched. Wait, they switched.
Oh, they swapped
agreed
it.
on
Okay.
a switch.
Okay. No, I was gonna say if not, then they would need to transfer Dyer $5,000. Isn't that like the standard penalty when a team messes something up?
Yes.
Oh, understood.
But unfortunately, not this time.
It's a high stakes game, Dead by Daylight, you know. So we need high stakes money alongside it, you know. But it works out anyway. And Singularity is always a very interesting one. It's mechanically a bit tricky, but the theory is simple. Can you tag survivors with Slipstream faster than the EMPs charge, right? We're getting to the stage of the game now where EMPs are charging up. However, the ability to get through, and that's beautiful right there, and this is the add-on combination which works out very well. You have the baseball glove, which increases the duration of the overclock mode, and that purple family photo gives you haste during overclock. It does mean that it lasts for slightly less time, but that's somewhat counteracted by the baseball glove as well. So you use the power. Not only do you get right on top of the survivor, but you also get a nice little speed boost, which can really make the distance in loops such as this. You see, maybe without that speed boost, there's potential Orochi is able to make that window and delay the chase just for a little bit longer. Instead, it's going to be a clean down for Leonidas. Jen on the wayside is going to be popping, however. Recall that this is also quite a small map. Small maps generally going to be better favored for the killers, and you kind of have... You probably have some of the best map pressure in the game as Singularity. That's just kind of virtue of being able to set up security cameras everywhere that you go. It certainly helps out.
Absolutely, yeah. And for everyone, so if you're confused now, we are actually seeing Eunoia on Killer again, even though they started the Spirit set as well. This is because the teams agreed to this order and this, and then we are not saying no, because as soon as the competitors are fine with it, there's no reason why we would block that. Leonidas is trying to find a good mix here between guarding the generators through the little cameras here and guarding the hook we are currently protecting here. I do believe that is going to be the second stage, though. The Survivor team will barely be able to make anything against that, though. There is an incoming sprint burster going for it. CEO was lurking in the distance and was finding the perfect timing, and that now saves the Survivor team 60 seconds, though, that they can really use for the generators here.
And Seesorbe is asking, wait, I thought the kills and their players rotate. Is it the same for all? So both teams have their rosters. Any player can play either Survivor or Killer. What you'll find is that on a certain roster, they'll probably have one or two designated Killer players. A lot of teams have one who traditionally plays the quote-unquote M1 killers, so the ones who move at 115 movement speed, function relatively normally in loops and things like that, and just have mind differences. And then they'll also have a specialist for the more kind of high-tier tech-involved killers. So things like Nurse and Blight, or maybe even, we haven't seen Huntress, but potentially Huntress as well. Killers that rely on mechanics which are unique to them alone. So anyone can play Survivor or Killer on any given time. It doesn't even matter, but generally you'll see the same one or two players on either team playing the Killer.
Now we have another trade, and another trade that is coming in last second. This is really what I like here. They are basically leaving the team member 55 seconds on the hook, and then right before they would go into the second stage, they're going for the save, and they are adding 60 seconds again because of the hang time. Unfortunately, our killer is not able to prevent that, but I think now he is aware that this is the strategy that the Survivor team is using here. So we might see that it's not going to happen on Near 7 here, who's currently on the hook. We also have two injured survivors out, White and Adam. They need to be careful here. Strategy seems to be staying injured and smashing the generators. That can work out. On the other hand, you're taking a lot of risk, and that might result in some slugs here. So we can only hope that it's going to work out in their favor. We're scanning the area once again. We are seeing one survivor over here. AJ is around and will try to move in. Will reach his pallet as well, and I do believe that will be another possible unhook here.
Yeah, and it's actually really good strategy because it looks decent on paper. You know, you are able to get 4 hook stages off after all, but what you need on a killer is kills, right? So as odd as it sounds, in comp DBD, and even in a lot of poly matches as well, it is more valuable to get 3 hook stages that result in a single kill instead of 4 hook stages which are perfectly split amongst the survivors. This is a nightmare to deal with as killer, because if no one's dead or out of the game, or even in this case, no one's even dead on hook, there isn't really that much pressure on the survivors, especially because they've all been allowed to reset. You can let AJ hang for another 30 seconds or so, send someone to trade out, die for it. In the meantime, Orochi lurking, or just any 2 survivors that they choose can just go and work on generators. It's that simple, really. They're just going to keep trading this one out. However, they are going to have to contend with the fact that there are 2 generators right nearby to the current hook. This one down here and the one on top of the saloon as well. And the one on top of the saloon means that you are kind of always at risk as one of these survivors.
And we have Nia being around as well. Now they need to decide who's going into the second stage here. And it will actually not be a trade this time. AJ will just be left on the hook. We are scaring one survivor off the generator with a quick teleport onto main. But this survivor will be back and working on the gen. We see him up there. We do have no pressure on the gallows generator, but maybe on the one right next to it towards the dead zone. We have a difficult 2-2 split here, especially the generators right next to the hook will currently not find any progress, but the ones in the distance, maybe them. A nice teleport though onto Orochi. That's going to be the perfectly timed unhook onto AJ in the distance. They waited for the killer overcommitting for a chase, leaving a little bit of area and then going towards that unhook. And now would be important that we find AJ for the tunnel out.
Yeah, but the survivors are so in sync right now. Like, yes, AJ did end up hitting second stage, so is vulnerable, but the moment, and I mean the moment that pressure came out onto Orochi and the kill started committing to that chase, someone was there for the unhook onto AJ. And right now, AJ is nowhere to be found, so likely could get healed up. Remember that being dead on hook does make you target number one, public enemy number one for the killer right now. Eunoia is trying to look around, and now the gen split is really tricky to have to deal with. Gallows is now done, but you have two gens down here, and you have another gen on the side map as well. Gallows gen, Saloon gen cannot regress at all anymore. The limit has transpired for that. I believe it's, 8 regression events have happened, so that can't go down anymore. And now it's just a really rough spot for the Nice B. And as you said, best case scenario is try and find AJ, but it's not going to be happening. Instead, it's going to be lurking fully instead. Leonidas might try and get the hook here and just kind of camp it out, but then it's a measure of how good are the exit gates? How close are they to the unhook? The answer is not that far away. You see, this one in the corner is very close, right? The survivors, it's interesting to see, are they going to opt to just leave, or will they do a 3-man save? Because, I mean, they have 2 healthy survivors. Provided that they are drilled enough, it should be relatively simple to get the 2-man save off and then just leave with everyone alive. You don't have to give away an extra hook stage if you can help it.
Yeah, I also think 7 stages is a good result for the Singularity. You have a relatively small map with the Dead Dog Saloon. You do have quite some possibilities also for a Singularity to place the cameras, to keep everything under control. Yeah, the houses section can be tricky, but 7 stages is definitely a great result for Frikandel here. So very understandable that they are leaving the trial. 7 stages is something you are happily taking. For Eunoia, that means that we need 8 stages in the upcoming trial from their killer, and anything around 6 stages would be the win for Survivor Team Frikandel. Ladies and gentlemen, we will hop on a quick break for this one. I need to refill my glass. We need to discuss some stuff. Actually, we don't have to discuss some stuff. I just have to refill my glass. But when we discuss some stuff, it sounds more important when we discuss some stuff. So we will go through the new IKEA catalog, since we talked about IKEA earlier, and we will see you in a few minutes, guys.
Thank you everyone for being so patient. Unfortunately, Freddy Fazbear is not the new killer. He's not going to be played right now. It's the Singularity. Again, Orochi going to be picking it up this time. Instead. Already trying to assert a little bit of dominance over the non-corrupted generators as well. Is finding Sponge quite early as well. Going to be seeing how quickly this 1v1 can come through. Again, remember, you need to be popping those slipstreams on, and Sponge making very good use of the terrain to dodge it right there. Eventually will be caught out, so we're finally getting a little bit of progress rolling. How are you feeling about this matchup, Dyer?
I am ready! That's what I want to say here as well, and Sponge is not so ready since he's already taking the first injury. I need to touch real quick on that Jake that we see on the screen. Fats, an old friend from the competitive community. We were playing together in some tournaments. We were in the same community together for a long time, and it's really, really great to see him back after quite a break coming back into competitive DBD. Interesting also there that Sponge was basically planning with being downed and already used the emote to go down in the pallet, and then he didn't even go down because the hit was not coming through. We are going to shoot some bubbles on the survivors on the main building, trying to go for the first down here, but Sponge so far doing a really good job.
Yeah, was able to even pick up an EMP mid-chase, so can actually be charging that one up. That is a very fast pallet break on account of the overclock, as Orochi's still going to be trying to run this one through. Not having this wall broken does make this loop kind of rough to deal with as a killer, not having either walls broken actually. Instead we get this pallet, which is one of the less safe pallets in the game, but is still going to be played reasonably normally here by the killer. And right now, Sponge is doing an absolutely incredible job. You go for that last minute drop down onto the head of the Singularity, but it just isn't going to be working out there. But there are going to be surely at least 2 gens pop for this one. I wouldn't even be surprised if we see 3.
Yeah, it's a great play that we see here right now. Eunoia definitely on an absolute run through the generators and through the pressure, so really good to see that. We remember, ladies and gentlemen, 7 stages on 4 survivors from the previous trial, so Mochi Snake just 1 out of 8 hook stages basically, because we would need 8 to go for the win here. 7 more to go, 2 gens already done, and we see the strategy of camping Sponge into the second stage. And honestly, Actor, after this start and 2 gens being lost, yeah, he has a 3 gen here in this area, but I'm not too sure if you really have the time to just camp.
I mean, this is the hook, as you say, in the middle of the 3 gens, so it is valuable only on account of camping out the hook. As okay, it turns out the cavalry is here, and this is the 2-man save that you want to be seeing right now coming through. So Fats, your old friend or old lover, I'm not entirely sure how you were talking about it just now, is going to be helping out there, doing a phenomenal job of getting that save through online. Sponge not going to be let off that easily. This is comp DBD after all, and by being hooked first, you are now the prime target, but running through that pallet is a really strong play. Unfortunately, good planning from Orochi there, pre-placed pod there to cover this loop. Not entirely sure if that was imagined when it came through, as that swing is a miss into the pallet there. But now Orochi is trying to run Sponge into the web of traps that have been set up, and finally it is going to be doing so. And we get to another pallet, which isn't particularly effective, and that haste as well. That haste is so important, it's so strong when after that teleport you get that little bit of haste for a couple of seconds in that overclock mode. That is your power spike on the Singularity, but another gen is going to be going by the wayside for it.
And that's the 3rd gen in exchange for 2nd hook stage. Really not looking too good for Frikandel here. 4th generator coming out from Eunoia, and there's Fats. He's responsible for the generators coming out. Fats is repairing, Fats is chasing, Fats is distracting, Fats is grinding, Fats is dominating, and Fats is gone as well, because we are in the next chase with at the shack with a different survivor here. Basque has the responsibility to go for a longer run. We are trying to get the quick teleport here eventually, but it takes a little bit longer. Now it will be possible. We are going back towards the windmill, but we will not reach it in time, and the pallet has been broken here as well. So the only thing that we can do at the moment is pulling the killer array from the active generators, but they did that successfully, and Eunoia is certainly doubling up on that final generator, so I wouldn't be surprised if we go into endgame any second now.
Daya, are you in love with Fats by any chance?
I appreciate him.
Because it really sounds like, the way that you were just hyping out, it really sounds like you have a very special relationship with this fella. I'm just calling it how I see it. That's all I can say, alright? Very complimentary of the boy Fats. But I mean, Survivors have been putting in phenomenal work right now. Is actually going to be using the teleport. Does dunk on 2 pallets at the same time. But that hinder does mean that Shiro is going to be able to make it to another one as well. None of these pallets are great, but there's just 4 of them in a row right there, and you can just dunk all of them
Fats
down.
would have made that.
Does come through. Fats would have made that. Look, at this point, Fats would just get married to Fats. I don't understand. I wonder how Savannah feels about your relationship with Fats. I'm going to be perfectly honest, brother.
She has to be fine.
Has to. Unbelievable. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's
anyway, Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, this good old fella definitely also bringing out the experience here, though. That's fair to say, though, I believe. Being around in comp DVD for 4 years almost, so there's definitely something that Eunoia can profit on. Shiro and Bask are the two injured survivors. Fats now needs to be careful as well with the teleport being possible. So I'm a little bit surprised that the final generator hasn't come out yet. Either they took some time to go for the EMPs here, taking a little bit of care of the killer setup that we have seen on the Dead Dog Saloon, but I was expecting that there would be a double up in the distance and onto the final generator. So it's definitely interesting to see that it didn't happen yet. We have a beautiful 3-gen split as well. We have 2 over here and then the other generator on the absolute opposite side where someone is sitting on the gen, but unfortunately with the EMP. Maybe this was the time they took here for a setup. Definitely a very smart move.
Yeah, and the adrenaline as well onto Besk when that last elimination does come out. There is a Noid here from Orochi, so if you're able to down the right target, you can get yourself a cheeky extra 3 hook stages, and then from there you could have 7 stages and then go from there. But as you can see, Sponge is going to be having a very rude awakening right now. Fat's actually going to be continue to be chased down. Fats, you can't go down here. What will Dyer do without you? The bounce landing not quite working out. Dyer, if you need a minute, like, I completely understand, but I know it's hard for you to see. Are you sure you're okay?
No, it's fine because I love endgame turns. I love endgame speedruns by the killer, and we are about to witness one. We have 4 stages at the moment, now going into 5 stages, and there is still the possibility that we get the entire win. Fats would be hook stage 6, 7, and 8, and that would be exactly what Frikandel needs to bring it on a 1-1 here. So I'm really all in for that. 1-1 is the best opener of best of 5 that you can ask for, especially in the scrim night. Also, you're taking 2 new teams in, you're trying to see what they can offer, and when you then have a 1-1 at the beginning, what can be more exciting than having that? So Fats, sorry, but I'm sacrificing you for the sake of the best of 5 being exciting. It wasn't that good of a friendship.
Holy hell. Okay,
no,
but actual top 10 anime plot twists. Oh my goodness. So what you can see here is that the killer Orochi has intentionally placed Fats very far away from any exit gate. When you have 2 healthy survivors alive, it is a relatively simple process to get them out. To get an unhook and get a last survivor out, right? One person takes the hit while the killer's recovering, the second person will then get the unhook and then go from there, right? However, if a survivor gets injured too early, it needs perfect coordination right now. So Shiro is going to be going here, and yeah, rescues are there. That's it. There wasn't enough coordination there. If they want to have another crack at this, these survivors are going to have to heal up, but instead, it's actually going to be Singularity chasing them down just for a little bit longer. But yeah, they need to heal up, and they need to try this one again, because that first attempt was very sloppy.
Yeah, that was you talked about coordination for this rescue, and unfortunately that didn't happen because Shiro came in significantly earlier than Bask did, and what you really needed was this injury onto Shiro, and then Bask taking over and going for the unhook here. They are going for a reset again, but it will be rough now to get it still. You can somewhat block the hook here. You also need to be careful that it doesn't end in a full reset, because now any stage for the killer would be enough. We also have some cameras towards the exit gate, so a teleport is possible because we haven't used the EMP just yet. Fats will be the target actually. Here will be the survivor that we are taking in, and we are making extra sure that there will be enough time before we are going for the down. Nice idea here with Besk and Shiro leaving the door and then Fats rotating back towards the hatch would have definitely been a huge endgame play by the Survivor team. But that seals the deal. 8 stages for the killer. That means that Frikandel is taking a set point as well, pushing it to the 1-1. And obviously, saying that it wasn't the best friendship was simply a joke. When I sacrificed Fats, he is really, really appreciated, and it is sad to see him die on hook. But as said, we have a 1-1 now, and it's a very nice start for a best of 5. Frikandel and Eunoia so far, aggressive teams, confident teams on the killer and survivor side, I would say. Definitely refreshing to watch both of these.
Of course, but there's also, as we can see, these are newer teams, and as nice as we've seen a lot of the play being, there are, of course, things to improve on. I mean, every team has things to improve on, but we are saying that these teams are still practicing, still trying to improve. And maybe not quite at the, tournament winning level just yet. There are some uncharacteristically sloppy mistakes. Coordination seems to be a bit of an issue, failing certain saves, maybe a little bit. The 1v1s aren't necessarily that bad, to be perfectly honest. The survivors and killers seem quite capable in the 1v1. If anything, a little kind of stronger from the survivors, actually. But there's still room for improvement for all of these teams, but they have been quite even so far, and they're still learning quite a lot as well. So, plus, because this is all streamed, they can actually VOD review this quite well, because, I mean, DBD doesn't have a replay system, unlike, other esports titles. I mean, DBD is not really an esport. I mean, we've made it an esport, right? Yeah,
we
DBD
made it an
esport,
esport, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not
Yeah,
really
you would wish that there's more support coming in, though, from the developers. Like, when you look into it, like, for example, an Overwatch, a Counter-Strike, what it needs for, let's say, a normal esports organization is pretty much, well, we are getting sponsors for a prize pool, we are setting up the tournament itself, and then we are good to go. The fact that we are basically rebalancing the entire game, that we are removing RNG wherever we can and all that is basically, we are kind of developing a second game sometimes, I feel like. We have to deal with the mechanics in a completely different way. We need to try cutting out mechanics that exist because they're too RNG heavy or too RNG relating, and it is a different game mode, I would say. Like, if you join if you play Overwatch on the highest level or Counter-Strike on global, and you are entering esports, of course the skill gap is another one, but you are basically playing this game. And if you compare the normal DBD and the comp DBD, it is pretty much a secondary game that almost exists parallel.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely ludicrous. I mean, like, we aren't actually, as Nightbot just said, thanks, Nightbot, we aren't properly affiliated with Behavior. That being said, it does feel like Behavior is actually lending a handout to competitive Dead by Daylight in the sense of, I believe, this tournament and then a couple of others as well, whose right now I don't recall, but definitely this tournament, Behavior is actually offering iridescent shards to the winners and some of the top teams as well. So Behavior themselves are actually getting in on this, and it's fair to say that DBDLeague is probably the primary competitive tournament, the one that most people kind of think of when we're thinking of competitive Dead by Daylight as well. So if there is more support that is going to happen in the future, it will likely be done through the medium of DBDLeague, right?
You would hope so.
Yeah,
but at the end, it's all a big speculation. At the end, it's all a big speculation, yeah. But the wishes are there from our side, at least. We will see if we are getting them into behaving differently towards us. But until then, we until then we are living with the love of our community and the support from the community. And basically, our community is what Behavior could be. They are the backbone. They are the ones carrying us. And we are saying thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are already in the next trial. A big shout out to Eunoia and Frikandel for that as well. They are quick as hell here on setting up the lobbies. That was just 2 minutes or something. Very, very great to see that. So immediately in the next game, the Unknown this time with Frikandel on the killer side and Eunoia on the survivor side. 1-1 so far. The best of 5 starting very, very equal here. So we are all in for it.
Yes, my favourite Birmingham resident is here once again. The Unknown, the most the Unknown's design was actually based off the average resident in the UK. Are you surprised to learn that, Dyer? Surprised? No.
I remember you dropped this joke one time before on me, and then I accidentally said yes because I wanted to agree on something different. And now there are clips of me agreeing to that.
Yeah, and then you got exposed as someone who hates the UK. Don't worry, I live here and I also hate it. So what we're seeing here is the Ruin Pentimento setup, which is actually quite common on it's actually quite common on the Unknown. It means that there will always be regression in play, and the survivors have to actively take time off gens to get rid of that. At the start of the game, there's going to be Ruin going off. If they choose to get rid of that, then they have to deal with a Pentimento. So you either have to spend like a good 30-40 seconds just running around the map cleansing totems, or you deal with the permanent gen regression when you're not on it all game, or you deal with a permanent 30% slowdown on those gens either. It's never really a comfortable position to be in, and it's a pretty strong build. It works in that sense. What surprises me here is Infectious Fright. I mean, of the slugging perks, of the kind of slugging perks, you have Infectious Fright, and then you also have Force Hesitation as well, right? I'm interested why Infectious has been chosen here instead of Force Hesitation.
And that's a nice down onto Besk. Second hook stage, 1 gen so far as a trade-off, but the survivor team definitely being a little bit slower here than in the Singularity game. Our Unknown player with a good chunk of pressure early on, 95% on this generator though. So we might see 3 completed generators in just a second. So Eunoia a little bit slower, but definitely not sleeping, and the pressure is rising. So our Unknown player should better not feel too confident and too safe here with this current hook stage. The problem is also this hook stage is pretty much towards the outside of the Wrecker's Yard. Could you not interrupt me, Mr. Unknown, Mrs. Unknown? I was talking and he was right in my sentence there. But the problem is that this hook stage right here is very much on the outside of the Wrecker's Yard. So we are far away from the active generators, and that could become a problem for our killer.
Oh my! And attempting to dispel that hallucination there was the end of Fats, unfortunately. Right now we have every single survivor who is marked up by the Unknown right now. It's a very scary position to be in. Fats was able to get rid of it off in the distance, but Sponge and Best still very much dealing with it, and this is why this killer is so deadly. Around a corner, you aren't safe from that UVX blast, and then there's a hallucination in play, and they'll just teleport back, and it can turn very chaotic very, very quickly. Best will be going down as well, and now we have... It's a fairly standard affair. It's not at all uncommon to see a 3v1 happening with 2 gens remaining. That is the common time frame. And it seems like the hallucinations, whether on purpose or not, have always been placed directly on top of the Ruin. They might actually be body blocking the Ruin. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy indeed. But we don't have also the biggest attempts yet on getting rid of the Ruin, and so far the survivor team is not suffering from Ruin too much. That will change now with the 3v1 coming in, because then you will always be busy. 1 survivor on a hook, 1 survivor in a chase, the other one going for the rescue. But so far they are not suffering too much. That was a very, very nice injury right there. Ace, Shiro here potentially being a little bit confused about that as well. And we have the chance to teleport, but Ace was anticipating that. What a nice play here. And staying alive longer. Shiro on an absolute run here. The killer has to leave, and we haven't even had the down. So we could also see Eunoia going to pull back potentially and going for a full reset, but unfortunately that left this generator a little bit late.
Yeah, leaving it just a little bit late, and now again the Survivor's in such a rough position right now. Even if you're able to, even if you're able to cleanse yourself of that effect, it doesn't, of the UVX, it doesn't even really matter all that much because you're in the corner of the map. That being said, another gen has been bullied out. In the meanwhile, Infectious does tell Singularity exactly where those fires might be. Goes for a bit of a blind shot. Is it going to work? Not quite. But the idea was there and you don't lose a whole lot for going for it, so might as well, I suppose. And that seemed to begin to shine. I think there was a bit of an Ace jump scare on my screen for a second there.
And not only the jump scare, we also have a potential 4-man slug anytime soon, because Shiro, if he's going to face a quick shot here and then the down, then it's only Fats, and we will know where we find Fats. That's going to be right there on the rescue and the reset on the team member. Luckily though, Shiro again choosing. So if we have any MVP medal for the side of Eunoia here, then it's definitely going to Shiro for this match, because these chases are long, confident, in the right location, and they are doing so much for the Survivor team here. Unfortunately, it was a little bit hesitant on this pallet, but Shiro has done a lot of damage to the killer, and honestly, it could have been almost over already, and just thanks to Shiro, it didn't happen yet.
Yeah, and you're seeing this 3-gen that's set up. It turns out that while Shiro was having that chase, Fats and Sponge actually opted to reset there. There is the potential there isn't any sloppy butcher. I think more likely is that they 99 each other's heals and then went and worked on generators. When the down actually happened, they then quickly hopped off them just to heal each other up. Those heals were instant on each other. Ruin is still up. So Fats and Sponge will really have to try and bully out the generators through that, as this first hook does come through onto Shiro. And your 3v1 isn't terrible until that first survivor goes on the hook, because now you need to draw someone over for the unhook, while there will invariably be another survivor being chased, and then there is 0 gen pressure, and that 0 gen pressure is exacerbated by the Ruin to cause that constant regression as well. So Shiro likely not going to be getting any kind of heal here, and that hit! That blast hit, by the way. That's crazy.
That is crazy indeed. That was a very, very crazy shot. Fats taking the injury here, and yeah, you talked about the Hex Rune. Before, it was fine when we had the Hex Rune with 4 survivors. When you're smashing through the generators, you don't really mind too much. But now, we're having 3 survivors. And as we said, there are moments where all 3 survivors are busy. One is down the hook, one is going for the pickup or the rescue, and the third one is in a chase. And then Hex Rune is doing a lot of damage here. Sponge with a nice read, dropping the pallet in time to not get the injury here, so Ochi is going to waste a little bit more time here onto that survivor. He needs to make sure that they are not getting too much of wiggle room here, because a full reset would actually come out quite punishing, and we are seeing some choosing here. Eventually we need the 1v1 to stop Sponge, but they are shining on the side of Eunoia.
Yeah, really is shining out here right now. Every single survivor is injured up, and again, just having to take that time to reset is keeping them off the generators. And it almost seems like a little bit of a sunk cost situation, you know, where it's like, well, you know, it's so late in the game, Ruin's still up, we only need 1 more gen, we might as well just devote our time to the gens instead of Ruin, right? Instead, it might be worth getting rid of it. Roxy definitely wants to keep it up, sees more value in this Ruin than the potential Pentimento. Instead, it just has yet to be seen whether Fats and Shiro are actually doing anything with this space, and it is going to be falling there. Pentimento is now going to be up, but at least, even though it's slow, at least that gen progress is now permanent. Orochi is going to have to a little bit more gen picking, gen regression to actually stop these from being completed now. especially because Fats has just gotten the save onto Sponge, is uninjured. Nothing at all now stopping Fats and Sponge going over to manning a generator and also healing Sponge up in the meanwhile while Shy rotates his chase.
Yeah, it is once again this situation where we are like, whoever makes the next mistake will actually find themselves in a very, very difficult spot here, because that is now going to be either a little bit too much risk by the survivors, and then we have the difficult time that we're taking a little bit too many slugs, or the killer getting a little bit too busy and being a little bit too long busy in these chases, and then you're losing your Hex Ruin. So that's definitely a nice move by the survivor team, and Sponge also progressed this generator to all the way, at least 80% was that what I heard there. So we are going to see the rescue in the distance, and that's going to be Sponge now being on the floor though. But this generator is definitely very, very dangerous here. So Orochi now needs to make a decision themselves. Are they going to stay right here next to the generator? Then you are giving a double up potentially to the survivors on the other side. Or are you going for the other generators, and then you potentially have the problem that they are rescuing and going for the gen. The only problem is that we have a massive 3-gen over here, and this is something our killer can really take advantage of.
Yeah, especially because of that UVX, you kind of have this long blast, meaning that you can keep applying pressures mid-gen. Actually did end up getting the weakened onto Fats, and is still trying to, assuming that Fats is on this middle gen, and occasionally just prying for that hit, thinking, Fats, you still there, buddy? Trying to get the injured through onto the Sponge. Is going to be dying here. There is no way this doesn't get capped out, but you turn your head for just a little bit too long, and the ace is there. Phenomenal survivor play right now. Absolutely ludicrous. Obviously, not going to be too happy to let Sponge live for very long. Makes it to the pallet, but it runs out. The borrowed time runs out just in the nick of time for the killer, and Ace cannot easily get this pallet save, injured and weakened at the same time. It would be far too risky to go for, and Orochi actually smells blood in the water. Wants to go for it now. That's the hit of the century. Nah. That's so nasty. Oh my god, Orochi. If only the chase music was actually working, that'd be so much more hype.
Yeah, the chase bug really taking the hype from that, but that was one hit for the books. What a great one here, and it's doing so much for you. Jesus. You are having the next down right here, and Shiro will need to make sure that he's properly looking at the killer first to get rid of the status effect. Fat's face is the same, so both can be injured with, or downed even in this case, with the power here. Shiro is back in chase. That's going to be back with the status effect here. Now it's becoming really, really tricky because we only have that TNL to work with, but we are getting away because Orochi decides to go back to the generators. And there you see this very, very high pressure for the killer. Survivor on the one hand, you want to down them. Generators on the other hand, where's the best location to be at the moment? How much time do you have to commit to survivors? How much time do you have to defend the generators? All of that is a difficult and tricky calculation now, and Fats doing exactly what's needed here, holding W away from the active generators, dodging a bullet, and that must be generator number 5 here. There's no other way.
It has to be. There's no Pentimento, there is no Ruin right now, but there are the illusions, and they're going to be coming through, and the skill check happening at the unluckiest time there. Look, you can't get rid of RNG completely from this game, right? We can try our best, but when you get off a gen and the skill check goes off anyway, and then you end up having that gen regress, you now have 2 survivors down, Sponge trapped in a corner, not going to be long for his world. Roxy lobbing that one over, not quite the shot of the century as we saw earlier, but it's a shot, at least for the day, to make it a very strong 4K1 here for Orochi.
4K1. What a great game by Frikandel here. And once again, the tricky situation now. You just need all the generators in the upcoming trial, but it is a lot easier said than actually done. So That's going to be the challenge in the upcoming trial here, and Frikandel will definitely come out very, very confident after this killer game. You have every single reason to be strong on the survivor side in the upcoming one. But yeah, that's definitely a challenge. Eunoia, though, I feel like what they're facing at the moment, they were coming out super strong in the first set when we remember the Spirit. They were trying to be super able to deal with that confidence. In the Spirit set, Frikandel got ran over by Eunoia. They had nothing to do against it. And now I feel like Frikandel was like, listen guys, we understood how you are playing, and I feel like they are doing a way better job now in countering that.
Yeah, really strong play coming out from this. Really strong play coming out from this Singularity right here. I mean, like, I'm still not entirely sure on the Infectious Fright choice, but it's clear that it did get value here. Singularity, not necessarily the first killer you think of when it comes to, you know, slugging out survivors, and also going to be placing a hallucination right on top of the potential hatch location, just in case right now. Orochi has no reason to be leaving this, Orochi has absolutely no reason to be leaving this one location at all. It's like a party right now. You know, we got all the unknowns, we've got the main unknown, the other unknowns. They're all chilling, you know? It's a fun time.
And we're just waiting for Shiro bleeding out there and Fats being on the hook. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, 4K1 is safe. Any questions about Season 9? Any feedback? Anything that you would like to discuss? Here's the chance. We are on no delay today, so if you have any questions, this is the perfect chance right here.
Of course. I want to know chat's opinion on salted peanuts.
Chat's opinion on salted peanuts.
That's my question for the day. Yeah.
I love salted peanuts.
Really?
Even though I'm not in chat.
That's very... I mean, you're chatting to me right now, so you are, like, in chat, if that makes sense.
Why are you doing Scrim Nights? For 3 reasons. The first reason is, when you are watching comp like me, which is nothing and nowhere outside of DBDL, I'm living in pretty much a bubble, and the same goes for a lot of members on the staff team, because we are streaming on the weekend ourselves, so there's no time to watch any other tournaments. During the week we are planning DBDL, so we have no chance to watch any VODs. Then you are really aware about the 10 top competitors and maybe about the 16 top competitors when it comes to the next All Hallows League, but you are not aware with what's going on in the scene at the moment. You don't know what teams are there, what teams recently shaped, who has a good chemistry, who's really nice, who's really prepared. This is something we are also looking into. You can be the best team, but if you are unprepared and you are taking 10 minutes to set up each lobby and you have no sportsmanship, etc., then you will not play in the DBDLeague. And the Scrim Night allows us to meet teams, and not only through a VOD by watching another tournament, because they also have different rule sets and it's tricky. But here in the Scrim Night, we can talk to the team, we can talk to them before the Scrim Night in VC, we can chat with them afterwards, we can see how are they setting up the lobbies, how fast are they responding to the pings, are they attending for the picks and bans, are they on time? There are so many things that we can gather in terms of information that are so valuable for us, or hold such a high value, that we cannot get by watching elsewhere. This is the first reason. The second reason is we want to make DBDLeague more newcomer friendly, because before you were either a top 20 team, then you had a realistic chance to make it in our top 16 events in winter and Halloween. If you want to be in the season, top 20 is not even enough, because we're only taking 10 teams. But besides the teams that are top 20 and somehow reach there in other organizations and are kind of known, you had no chance making it into DBDL. So we wanted to make it a little bit more transparent, a little bit more beginner or newcomer friendly, and giving everyone an equal chance to show us what you got, and then being considered for upcoming events. And the third reason, I think it's fair to say that, the third reason is that we would like to push for the Twitch partner, because we are doing it a long time, and the thing that is always messing with our application are the stream days, because if you only go Saturday and Sunday, that is not enough to become a Twitch partner, which would, on the other hand, help us with potentially finding some sponsors, which would be good for the tournaments. 2 days is not enough, so we were thinking, how can we increase it? And we were saying like, yeah, well, we can stream some staff Swifts, but that's not really the core of DBDLeague. We are not a individual content creator who's trying to entertain. So we said, why not just hosting what we can do best, tournament-ish gameplay during the week? Then we have the stream days as well. And so it's a little bit of a nice side effect, basically. The main goal is definitely meeting new teams and making it newcomer friendly. But a nice side effect at the moment is that we can hopefully and finally get our Twitch partner application on the way.
What he said. I mean, you covered it all. I mean, content's always nice, you know. We're putting out more content. It never really hurts, you know. That's why we're doing Scrim Nights. We get to show off some talent who would otherwise not be able to be shown on stream, because it's kind of for a lot of players, that's kind of like the draw of esports, right? People can try and deny it all they want, but at the end of the day, if you are at the top level of something, it's always nice to get recognition for that, right? And the best way to be recognized as one of the best players is by being on stream and having your talents literally displayed to the entire world, right? That's what the internet is, just displaying your talents to everyone, right? So more content, we just get to have more people practicing, going in. Yeah, Fats is in chat and is asking to tell you a joke. There is an ad break, so I'm not entirely sure whether Fats would hear it, however.
Let me think of a very bad one.
Why a bad one? Why not a good one? That, like, Fats is like your long
because I
lover,
only have
okay?
bad jokes.
You only have bad jokes.
Yeah.
I have one. Would you like to hear it? Would you like to hear mine?
Yeah, show me.
Okay. So, it was my dad's birthday, right? And I gave him his 60th birthday card. And he looked at me with tears in his eyes and said, you know, one card would have been enough.
What?
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Say it again.
Okay, I'll say it again. All right. It was my dad's birthday. And when I gave him his 60th birthday card, he looked at me, tears in his eyes, and said, you know, one card would have been enough, right?
Oh, okay. Okay. Now I got it. Listen.
Slow burn, that one. Slow burn.
Listen, I spent 6 hours in school already today teaching kids. I have an excuse. My mental capacity got burned by my students.
Chat's getting it now as well. It took him a minute, but they got it. This is why I'm so cool. Please PayPal me $5,000.
No.
Why not? What if I ask really nicely? No.
Also no. Casters payment is.
Casters
payment
don't
is
get
not
paid.
happening.
I mean, there was someone on Twitter a while ago, and they said something along the lines like, casters are the least important part of any production, and they should be paid like it. And he was a caster, and everyone's just like, why are you... What? Why are you saying this? Like, it's technically correct in the sense of, like... It is technically correct in the sense of, like, the caster is the only role in a production where it will happen without one. It can physically happen. If you have a producer and you have an observer and all that, then you can physically get a production out. However, watching gameplay without casting is kind of like watching paint dry, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's true.
it was very interesting for that guy to say, yeah, like cast are the least important part of a production and should be paid like it. It's like no one's getting paid anyway. I don't know what you're on about, bro.
Also, I came up with a joke.
Oh, go on, go ahead.
How does a French police car sound? Wee. Time to shut down the stream.
I don't like you anymore, Tucker. I don't like. This is no longer a safe working environment for me. Can I just go downstairs, make myself like a tuna wrap or something, and then just like come back like 20, 30 minutes, or maybe 2 days later,
2
like
hours.
when I'm recovered. When the stream's over, in 2 hours' time. I mean, we are about halfway through the stream now, ladies and gentlemen, so I hope that we're all, sticking in here. We are here for the long haul today. It's a long duty that we are taking, so grab some popcorn, hug your loved ones, whatever brings you comfort at a time like this, because we are here for quite a hot minute, as that blast does come through onto Nia right there. We're seeing a pretty similar build to last time. The Ruin Pentimento combo is very popular on the Unknown. However, we have the added wrinkling of the Undying as well, meaning that now you have 2 totems go through. So not only do you have that Ruin up, but you have an extra layer of protection on it. This also means that there are 2 potential procs of Pentimento. And if the killer uses them at different times, and that's even more time gone. This is out of favor of Infectious Fright, so it seems that Abdel is probably more happy to do camping and tunneling right now. So For the People does actually come through, so Nia not going to be instantly tunneled out of the game. Lurking will be going down. Interesting whether Abdel commits to a full chase, goes for a weakened, or just goes for an injury and then tries to go back for the hook. Right now, seems actually going to be committing just for the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely, yeah. Real quick to a question in the chat. Do we scout for the teams or can they apply? Teams can send a message to Savannah or me, and I will send you to Savannah. We are also often pinging in our Discord server for teams, so that's how it's worked. Nia doing a good job here, staying alive, back and forth, double, triple, and quadruple vault, and that's going to be the down here, but we already have a generator completed. We have 2 generators completed. Really good to see that, and the Survivor team definitely doing a really, really good job. Our ace here, a little bit off the hero at the beginning. Nia has played a very, very nice killer as well, so that's an absolute great evening for this player right here. We are on the second hook stage already, on the same Survivor though, so we need to make sure that the 3 we want tunnel out doesn't happen too fast now, because at least the 3rd generator would be nice.
3rd generator would be wonderful there. I mean, Lurking was on the floor earlier on account of that For the People play, but the pressure came through onto Nia anyway, so now we have 3 generators completed. As the survivors in a perfect... Well, I mean, you understand your win condition, and even as much as we can do for balancing purposes, there will always be an inherent advantage in going second, right? Simple as that. The survivors know that they can give up some extra lives in hook stages early on if it means they can get better gen pressure. Simply because if they complete all of the generators, they have won this game. Simple as that. Scrim environments, maybe they're just trying for the best result possible. Maybe they're trying for only what is necessary to get that win secured. As Nia is going to be going down there. A little bit of inexperience maybe showing here on that pallet right there. Camping the pallet, but it's not going to happen again! It's another time where a pallet save has been messed up in this series, and you can't be letting that happen at this level, to be perfectly honest.
Now AJ needs to be the one on a longer run. Will that happen? We see Abdel trying to snipe a second survivor there as well. Meanwhile, AJ though used the time holding W away from the killer, so more time being lost right here. We are seeing a vault coming out because the next survivor, that's Orochi here, going into the chase, and you will not be able, unfortunately, to prevent that. Really close though. Nice dodge attempt. Pallet being dropped. We have 2 more generators to go for, and if Orochi would be able to go for a longer run, that would be really good, but I do believe that Abdel doesn't have the time for the commitment here. Going back towards the generators, and again, we are playing pretty much in one half of the Wrecker's Yard, at least very soon, though the generator on the opposite side, I feel like, is just lost.
But Ruin and Undying are still up, and you know how brutal that's going to be, because this corner generator right here, the one that Abdel is currently overlooking, this was so close. You could see the survivors, they wanted to stick on it, but they had to get off at the last second, and now as we approach to it, it still progressed, of course. Progression is only 100% standard rate, as, yeah, they're just going to be trying it again. So that's 2 generators, which are so close to complete, but Ruin Undying is proving to be a bit of a problem right now. And Abdel, very cheeky there, realizing that the hallucination is coming off of cooldown, letting it drop right there, and then moving on. I mean, these survivors, they're just trying to bully out the generators, and they can do that, but it's a very dangerous game, especially now that you have someone on the hook and another survivor injured. You are putting yourself pretty neatly in a, you know, potential 3-slug scenario, you know? Someone earlier was asking why the killer at the end was going for slugs and not hook stages. That was on account of the fact that in the end game, you don't want to let the survivors get the hatch, because that counts as an extra escape for them, as that kill is going to be coming through last second. But as I was saying, you want to stop the hatch coming through, so when you put that last survivor on the hook, they can just end up dying on hook, and then the hatch spawns in, and the survivor can beat you to it and get the escape. Instead, it's safer to leave them on the ground and search for the last survivor, just to guarantee that there's no chance of a hatch play.
Yeah, that's true though, because also when we're closing the hatch, they could even more come into clutch, right? When you have, on the other hand, the survivor slug though, and then you have an unfortunate adrenaline, and then last second someone leaves out of the door. It's also a difficult possibility that can happen. So the killers, as soon as they have the slug, let's word it like this, maybe they are not done at all. There are always quite some niche scenarios that can apply pressure afterwards. We're trying to get our Dwight. Orochi here definitely doing a good job. He will get this vault as well. Now he faces the Severus effect though, but at least going on a longer run. And there's generator number 4. That means the tie would be guaranteed. If it's now 4K, it would be the tie, but I feel like the Survivor team is doing a good and organized job, so I'm still optimistic that they get the 5th generator here taking the win.
I mean, it's got to be this gen, right? I mean, as I say that, it's actually not all that progressed, and these are the 3 gens. It's not quite a hard 3 gen that we've seen sometimes, but they are all on one side of the map, and they are all pretty well covered by the hallucinations as well. It's really intriguing that the survivors have just opted to completely ignore the Ruin Undying. I mean, it is late in the game now, so I suppose you do understand to a degree ignoring that now, when instead you don't really have the manpower to do that. You need to have your people on gens instead of messing around with side objectives and stuff like that. But it's put them in a very untenable position, and put bluntly, this generator in the corner should have been done years ago if it weren't for that Ruin, which the survivors have just refused to get rid of.
And again, our Dwight, we can just not stop him. The Dwight is too powerful. Never mind, I cursed our Dwight, but there were a couple of impressive chases here. Unfortunate for AJ going to take and be injured as well. So that is leaving CEO of Lurking as the final healthy survivor. And AJ might not make it very, very far here, because the distance is not large, and we only have this very tricky tile to work around, so we might face another down, and this would be a down inside of the 3-gen setup actor, and this is usually coming out really punishing.
But Orochi has been healed up, and Orochi was the one who was dead on hook. I believe AJ has a little more life left in him as well. So Orochi being healed up is absolutely huge right now, and this gives a brief window of opportunity for these survivors to two-man on gem, because AJ right now is pulling more juice than an orange farm right now until the very end there, the UVX straight, catching him. Caught on the pinky toe, but it doesn't matter. A kill is a kill at the end of the day, right? Seeing a little bit of residual undying value there. It seems strange to remember, but you have to recall that while undying is up, you do actually get aura reading on survivors who are within close proximity to those totems, right? And hey, if it can get you value in strange situations like that, then fair play. It seems to be a bit of a nice play for Abdul. It's something of a comfort play to pause on the loop for just a second and then swing for it, hoping to catch out the survivors there. And it was this time, catching out a Orochi snake up the creep without a pound. That's going to be another kill going the way of Abdul. And suddenly this tie is looking increasingly more likely, Dyer.
Yeah, now the 4K is becoming more and more dangerous here, and with 2 survivors only and the reset there, so they are not on a generator at the moment, it will be really, really rough. You would need to get rid of the of the Undying and the Ruin now, because with 2 survivors, you have no chance of that against the Hex Totem. At least I couldn't think of a scenario. So you would need to take care about the 2 Hex Totems, then split really, really well. 4K1 in the previous trial would be another 4K1, or getting one of the survivors out of the way, and then instead of the 4K you would take 1 out, and then you're breaking the win condition with the hook stages. And I feel like that might be a good option to consider here for Team Frikandel.
Yeah, I mean, Hatch is always going to be an option. It's actually very interesting how it's dealt with again. RNG is lessened because you know exactly where the hatch is going to spawn at any given time. Of course, on certain maps and certain killers, that's not the play. So, for instance, if it's a dredge on Midwich situation, there is no shack, so you cannot control where the hatch spawns in, and so that's like crazy levels of RNG. But yeah, generally keeping any survivor alive here is going to be dangerous, and Abdel is being an absolute phenom in these chases currently, getting that hit through onto AJ. And seems confident enough to continue for just a little bit longer before eventually running back. And yeah, now that you've got Lurky injured, it's essentially over for the survivors, right? There is no way that Abdul is going to let this reset happen and then not just commit to the kill full on.
Now, CEO of Lurking injured, AJ injured. Will they keep fighting for that final generator, or do they go all the way into the end game plan? This will be the trying to snipe here onto AJ. I feel like that was closer than it looked like with that bullet right there. We are trying to move around again. That's not going to be enough. Our survivors are not killing the tiles. They know that the power is coming out, but unfortunately getting mind gamed here. CEO of Lurking, if he's being found, and we have a clean focus,
The aura reading came through onto Lurking because of Undying once again, and Abdel tracked him down. Ruin Undying somehow being the greatest perk of all time, at least if this series has anything to say about it. Holy hell. I mean, thanks for that, but you also have to consider why the hell did the survivors not choose to get rid of that Ruin Undying so early on. It's a small investment you make at the start of the match, which it pays off dividends later.
Yeah, it really punishes them here. The Undying value in this trial has been crazy. So many aura readings, such a protection of the Ruin as well. Potentially they would have said, well, let's get rid of the Ruin when it's just 1 Hex Totem. But with the Undying, they considered this maybe a little bit too much of a time loss, a little bit of too many resources that need to be sacrificed on the survivor side. But I 100% agree with you, Actor. That would have been a good trade-off. Using a little bit of time at the beginning, getting rid of the aura reading, getting rid of the generator regression. Now it is most likely going to be a tie, so we are staying on the 1-1 going into the Nurse, and the final one would then be the Plague here. So yeah, Abdel trying to find the meat pieces that are scattered around the Wreckers yard here. And you, ladies and gentlemen, we are going into a short break after this match. So if you have any questions towards us or anything you would like to discuss, then the chance is now. Perfect timing until we have found AJ here.
Of course, yeah, right. Staying right on top of where the hatch would be, hoping and praying that the Unknown doesn't have eyes, which... I mean, the Unknown doesn't have eyes. How do they see? That's a good question. Can someone in chat answer? The Unknown doesn't have eyes, so how are you, like, seeing anything? You know what I mean?
That's a good question, maybe. Maybe feeding. Pure game sense.
Game sense. The Unknown has good game sense? That's an interesting theory. I suggest you keep it to yourself. Julie Law is asking, why don't they Kobe? Because that is not allowed in the rule set, because it's about the whole... I mean, I'm not the one in charge of making the rules, but it seems more in line with the whole eliminate RNG where you can kind of situation, right? And 4% Kobe's are inherently RNG. So we just can get rid of it, so it happens.
Yeah, and we, ladies and gentlemen, we will take a short break. We will need to get some cool air. We will need to get some drinks. We will set everything up for the nurse, and we will see you in a few minutes.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back, everybody, and we are going to be seeing a new face on the killer, CSG. So definitely seems to be the nurse specialist coming in here, already going to be looking towards some of these corrupted generators. It is going to be on Coal Tower, and I mean, it's kind of about potatoes as to what maps are good for nurse. There are a couple of good line of sight blockers, but not quite as intense as some other maps. So relatively even overall. First chase is going to be coming through onto Sponge right now, but going behind this rock, going to be avoiding the damage, avoiding that hit just for a little bit longer, but eventually it's going to be coming through. The undetectable does come through from the Bad Man's Last Breath add-on as well, but CSG looking a little all out of sorts right there. Might need a little bit of juice to come through, and eventually the juice is going to be coming through. Sponge going down, and while it is in a corner of the map, it's not really in the corrupted generators, so this isn't an ideal situation for the survivors to be in. It'll be interesting to see which gens they're actually progressing in this time, and whether they can actually get them done before CSG just ends up TPing over and giving it a pop goes the weasel.
And here we see the weasel kick. We are also calling Brian for help for the reminder of, or not the reminder of the trial, but for a little time window here on this gen. Yeah, Fats, Shiro, Abdul, and Sponge have served some juice so far, but Frikandel has also put them under some pressure. That's why we're sitting on the 1-1 scenario earlier, and now eventually we are going to decide who's going to take the third set point. Here, first generator being completed in the distance. That is usually a good trade-off for the nurse. One hook in terms of one generator already is definitely something you can feel confident about. Sponge going to be pulled. Fats taking the injury here, but I would assume we are going back onto Sponge here, because tunneling out a survivor with the nurse is easier than ever.
I mean, yeah, all of the strengths of any given killer are just going to be exacerbated by the fact that this is the nurse, right? Doesn't struggle with anything except maybe hitting the survivor there. A little bit of a struggle there coming out from our nurse player, but that is completely fine. Happens to the best of us. Let's go around this corner, but breaking line of sight being so effective right now for Sponge. Every single blink is buying a little bit more time. And yeah, now Sponge is in a really rough position. Would be interesting to see how they manage to get out of this. Well, by going behind a rock, I guess. And that's even more time going to be bought, and a swing and a dead on at the end there. It reminds me of the good old days where you'd look up to bait the dead on. In this case, it wasn't even necessary because Sponge able to make good distance anyway. This nurse player is not doing too hot right now, and again the movement's so unpredictable, running into the nurse's face right now. CSG, no possible way of recovering that. Gen has been gone over in the meantime on the other side of the map too, plus another one as well, all popping one on one. And Sponge, well, living up to the 1v1 name right now, doing ludicrous things against that nurse.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a very, very damaging chase that we have seen here. I understand that you want to get the survivor out as quick as possible, but as the nurse, and especially in the competitive environment, it needs to happen much faster. As you mentioned, the 1v1 in the name of Sponge, they're definitely telling us where he takes all that experience from, potentially grinding the ladder in DBDL constantly. That was a very, very damaging chase. Jake is leaving early here as well.
Ooh.
That's going to first pull the nurse towards the corner here, and second cost a little bit of additional time. Now Jake, though, kind of with the line of sight here, so that should be a relatively easy down. We are taking one additional fatigue, though, to make sure that we're getting the down. And this is the recovery we need now. This is really, really important, but one hook stage that quick won't be enough to recover. We have 3 stages in exchange for 3 generators. That is not supposed to happen. This 1-1 trade-off, 1 stage, 1 gen, is usually not what the nurse has. Usually it's 2 or 3 hook stages in exchange for a generator. Therefore here, good recovery from CSG, but there are more downs needed to really put the pressure back on the survivor team.
And also, you can't forget, these are split hook stages as well. Sponge, there are 3 hook stages there, but ideally you would just tunnel Sponge out of the game there. Abdel is fine to go on the hook, could have hung there for a hell of a lot longer, has another down, another hook, another down, and another hook before reasonable, realistic, tangible pressure is actually applied to the rest of this survivor team right now. And it's not like CSG has a spectacular 3-gen as well. Can let the gen at Shack go and then have some stuff to work with over on this side of the map too, but it's not great. And yeah, the down does come from Abdel pretty quickly. It's going to be a nice consolation prize. Now you do have 2 players who are dead on hook, have to be very careful to not go the way of the dodo there. But it's still very interesting how DSG just opted to not go for the straight tunnel out onto Sponge there.
Absolutely. And there's now going to be another kick onto the gen, but it doesn't look the best for the nurse because one of the generators is located further towards the bottom side. The survivors have a good access, and seeing them standing there, that looks like an adrenaline play, or what are they cooking there? No, the generator is not far enough just yet. They were just vibing here and making sure that they have a good line of sight towards the nurse. But yeah, that's the difficulty here. When you have the generator in the midsection, then you have easy access towards the bottom side, and this is something these survivors will take the advantage from. Shiro here with the injury, Abdel with the rescue on the top side, and CSG has to commit to this ace. Going back again would have only been possible when immediately done after the unhook. Now we are forced to commit down here. That means that potentially 3 survivors are teaming up on the generator on the top side. So CSG under so much pressure right now that you might even need to go for the slug here.
It's going to be going for the pick anyway, but again, this is just, again, the concept of split pressure. Right now, you are not doing yourself any favors as the nurse by getting the hook onto this ace. I mean, best case scenario, you're looking at just getting a couple of extra stages, but at this point, you're just kind of giving up the gen, and now it's the key. Can you get to the gen in time? And the answer is no, you just can't. You just can't do it, and Shiro's already off the hook. The pick came through. These survivors are just on top of things right now. CSG is scrambling to find answers right now. Came in to play the nurse, but right now it's being played like a damn fiddle by these survivors. My goodness, what a performance thus far.
And that's going to be now the end game speedrun, hopefully. We need to get some additional stages in here because 5 stages is a really, really unexpected result for a nurse. Fats here going to get a very, very painful hit, I would assume. And that's going to be at least hook stage number 6 coming in, and then as further we can progress this survivor. I wouldn't be surprised if the survivors are straight up leaving the trial here, because this result, even with a fresh hook, is very, very strong. On the call tower, Nurse's favorite habit in the competitive environment here, we would be on 2, 4, 5, 8 stages. 8 stages on the call tower is a fantastic result for the survivor team. So if you're asking me, Actor, they shouldn't take any additional risk here.
I mean, yeah, we do see a variance here, but Abdel, I mean, it is a scrim. I guess if you wanted to get cheeky, this is the time you'd go for something. I mean, you do have overcome, so if you are the one to take the hit and run the hell away, you can do that. But no survivors and wait, was that deliverance from Fats?
Yep, they are having something prepared.
Alright, yeah, Fats had deliverance as well, and the hatch play as well, but he gets blocked in the last second, Dyer! That's so sad! You could see the play, you could see the line. Honestly, you respect that so much from the survivor side. It was almost right there, the execution just a pixel off, but speaking of execution, CSP just breaks into the rock, and he gets out, no, does he? No!
Oh. Jesus, what is happening here in the final seconds of this trial? This is not looking like a nurse that has everything under control. Sorry to word it like this, but from the deliverance that is not being shut down early enough, then almost with that blink into the rock, almost having that survivor leave the trial. And that would have been absolutely insane. If that survivor would have escaped as well. Like this, we at least have the 8 hook stages, but even 8 stages against the nurse on the call tower, you can celebrate at this as the survivor team here, because when you are going into a smaller map like this, difficult 3, sometimes even a 4-gen setup on the call tower, and you pull 8 stages against the best killer in the game, well then, congratulations.
I mean, like, Fats is your boy. Right, Dyer? So
yes.
If anyone has to explain, I mean, you have to explain what happened. You just have to. It's your fault. It's your fault, the thing that just happened. Because Fats is your boy. Remember that?
Fats is just over-motivated.
Simple as that. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, that was just crazy. But it is, as you say, like, that... While being very nice, admitting that this is a scrim, it's not necessarily representative of how they'll actually play. That was not a confident nurse game in the slightest at all. Especially at the end there. I mean, the deliverance, like, okay, you don't plan for it, it catches you off guard a bit, that's reasonable. But then you blink into a rock and you almost just give up, like, 2 extra hook stages. And at the highest level, that is the difference between winning and losing, oftentimes, just how many hook stages you get. Even like the 3-man escape as Nurse, we have seen a lot of variance on Cold Tower Nurse. The bouncing has gotten better and better over time. So it's no longer just the guaranteed 4K on 4 gens like we're traditionally used to. Survivors have gotten better at counteracting the Nurse, and Nurse has been getting balanced nerf after balanced nerf to get her into a more balanced spot. However, a 3-man escape is such a good survivor performance against a nurse as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And I also think it's important to put that feedback in a context, because some might say, oh, this is very negative if you say it didn't look like a confident nurse trial. But I also think we carry some sort of responsibility to give an honest feedback, because there are teams that are coming on the stage of DBDL because they are wanting to test themselves, experiment themselves in the DBDL environment. They are potentially looking forward to go for the Halloween event. And yeah, it might sound harsh to say this wasn't a confident nurse performance, and we do see some potential struggle there. But at the same time, you cannot always put needed feedback for improvement into candies and into glitter. And sometimes you need to point it out that way. So this is definitely a killer where the team needs to look into. Yeah, anyone a question in the chat as well? Since we are on the campfire chat, we are going to set up the lobby in a moment.
Yeah, I mean, it was really rough. I mean, a lot of the blinks were just not on point. It's interesting. I mean, yeah, it was the specialist kind of brought in to play the nurse, who we haven't seen before, and just not really quite living up to the hype. But it's an off day, you know, it's fine. I don't know, someone put, like, maybe they have food poisoning, maybe like they woke up on the wrong side of the bed, maybe they put on their right sock instead of their left sock first. Like, you know, it happens. It happens a lot, you know.
I mean, it happens to me too. I always have my socks the wrong way around.
Really? I mean, do you have a
Yeah.
specified left sock and right sock?
No, but like you can have the socks normal and the opposite way, so the inside is the outside.
So inside out.
Yeah,
Do you
and I
not
just
just
don't care.
notice
Like
by looking at them? Like, I feel like that's a big deal.
I
You know? Like,
notice, but I only notice it after I have my socks already on me, and then I can't be asked anymore to change it.
that's very interesting. If you die, well, have you? I'll ask again. Have you taken your meds today?
The question is, how did we start this best of 5 scrim night with a professional campfire chat analyzing the sets? Coming into the question, how do you deal or manage your socks at home?
Well, I mean, this is why we have community night. You know, it's a scrim night, it's a community night. Like, we are so chill, we are vibing so hard. Like, this is a chill environment, you know. If you're here for the rigor and the pomp and circumstance and presentation and everything, then come here on the weekends during the May DBDLeague tournament splits. If you want to chill out, then I mean that's what we're doing right now. I am so chill right now. I think someone in chat asked earlier, like, what drinks like are we getting? Whiskey, straight whiskey. No, I'm not actually drinking whiskey on stream. That'd be very unprofessional of me.
I have a question. How hard are we vibing? We are vibing really around here at the moment. Savannah, our producer, is not so vibing because it's too hot, but
they just call me the Viber. Like that was that was my nickname back in high school.
Hector the Viber.
Hector the Viber, yeah. And it's my nickname now because I'm just vibing too hard, you know. Happens to the best of us. Yeah, Spoker, no delay at all. Hi Spoker, how you doing, bruv? Is Spoker casting this weekend? I think so.
Is Spoker casting this weekend? I think I scheduled him and then he came up with his appointment and then I was mad. But he does.
People have
on Saturday 6.
Boo! People
there is no life besides DBDL. There is no life besides DBDL.
I'm done with university. I've got a summer. Like I start working part time, but like I do start working part time in a week or so. But like other than that, I am so free to just cast DBDLeague, and that's it.
This is
simple life. It's a simple life.
And the only thing I would ask for is that Spoker is showing us some love, some care, some interest, some friendship.
Cancel your appointment.
What do we get? We get rainy days, thunderstorms, gray clouds, bad mood, and all of that because of Spoker.
I know.
It's sad when you're trying to just ask for love, and Spoker is coming in with his cold heart looking at you.
I need to have a doctor's appointment so that I can be healthy and functioning. That's what Spoker, that's what you sound like right now. I'm joking. I hope everything is okay with you, good sir, but also like unbelievable. I just can't believe it.
He's treating the injuries he got because of DBDL and our mistreatment of the casters.
Spoker's never casting for DBDL again, bro. It's just gonna send you a letter. Wait for the twit longer. Wait for like the 500 word twit longer that comes out. As to
the doctor is like,
Spoker.
where did you get this injury? I casted DBDL. Oh.
It'll be titled like the truth about DBDLeague, and he'll make like a 45-minute video essay on it.
Let's go. I want to watch that. I'm requesting a salary. Spoker, no problem. We can increase your current salary by 10%.
Yeah, it will work out. I mean, speaking of video essays, have you seen? I'm guessing you saw the recent Killer Whale video, right?
I did.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Actually, it was very entertaining and very informative. He's a funny guy.
It was. I liked it too. I think a few things were broken down a little bit too much. Like, for example, like at the end, it was for me, like the beginning I liked because he was pointing out...
It was very positive at the beginning, yeah. Very positive.
Yeah, and he certainly pointed out a lot of mistakes comp players are doing. I agree there. But then towards the end, it was too much. Like, he basically used all the misconception and the frustration comp players received because of it. He was summarizing it really fast. And compared to that, at the end, the video was really going over and over and over the mistakes of the comp players. Some context was missing, as Spoker says as well. And then it was a weird imbalance, because basically what the misconception about comp, that this triggers huge frustration, obviously, when you constantly hear, we talked about it earlier, when you constantly hear, for your impressive skill, yeah, comp DVD doesn't exist, etc. This was broken down to 15 seconds, it felt like, and the rest was like without context, really, really fun. Then we had some people like Wispy being dragged in, etc. And like, it made it a little bit look like that Wispy is here representing every single competitive player, and we have so many players, we have so many staff members, we have so many mods, we have so many viewers, and comp DVD is a lot more than the few people that were dragged into that video. And certainly these situations were problematic, but the narrative for me was too much like, based on these few situations, I can make a statement how comp looks like. And I would have also wished that if you want to make a somewhat neutral video, as this video kind of claims to be, that you also reach out to the people you're quoting, because he's quoting DBDL, he's quoting the rule set, he's quoting our moderators, stuff like this. Then if you try to make a video that seems to be neutral, then reach out to the people. That would be something that I would ask for. But the first hook stage is already coming in by Abdel here. Really, really good move in the first few seconds here. We don't have a generator just yet. This one is really close. So Frikandel showing us that there is a good efficiency on the survivor side going on.
Yeah, Abdul putting in a very good start. The Orochi falling incredibly early, but Abdul not actually going for the tunnel out just yet, is instead looking around the map to try and find another survivor to lock down. I mean, with Orochi going on hook so early there, you know, by this point in the last Nurse set, the gen has already been completed, and another one was about 90%, right? Over here, there is good pressure on all the generators, but they did allow time for Orochi to heal up, so that tunnel out is not going to be all that simple, right? We do have a defined set of how many hook stages you need to get. I believe it's 9. Do correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe 9 hook stages will win Abdel the game. At that point, you don't care about gens or anything else like that. But it always helps get your hook stages when you can get your early elimination, right? And so letting Orochi live for so long, and now controlling these gens, but not really catching anyone out. Finally getting AJ, who tries to make the moves, but it got turned around on him right there. You thought that you had slippery feet, but unfortunately Abdul was just a little bit cleaner on this day. And clean as well. These are we're talking about, you know, the quality of blinks, as odd as that sounds. Abdul is showing, like, really phenomenal mechanics on the Nurse. Not as mechanically horrifically demanding as made out to be, but just so fundamentally different from the other killers that you have to put practice in. And this is such a good pop as well onto that essentially 99% generator. It's going to set it back so much.
Yeah, it's so punishing for the survivor side. It's also not so far away from the current hook stage. You can really sit in between here, as Abdul is doing as well. We have Brian, who we can call in an emergency, telling us if there's a survivor going on to these generators. So it looks a lot different, I have to agree. And here you can actually see a skill cap between these two teams at the moment. However, the Nurse can't feel too confident from the beginning, needs to play it out like this, needs to keep the performance on this level, and the survivor team has shown the first generator, it was unfortunately 99 and with the pop kick, but it was ready to go almost. So the efficiency is definitely there. The deliverance coming out as well. So AJ will waste a lot of time. Brian is calling from the generator. He's reporting there's progress going on, but the Nurse doesn't listen to Brian, and instead we are going down right at the shack here. If they would get this generator together though, while Abdul is busy here, that would be insane.
I was gonna say the question is whether AJ also has decisive strike or not. Doesn't seem to. I believe that decisive strike is allowed against Nurse, so interesting that we didn't see it at all in the last matchup, but I suppose there just wasn't enough, pressure coming out on the survivors for that to work. So AJ gonna be hanging on hook just a little bit longer here, and Abdel got that early hook onto Orochi, but seems to have instead decided that AJ is the target, the golden goose, the one who wants to get out of the game. Will get an injure onto Lurking, and the save does come through onto AJ, but honestly, there's the concept of maybe you could have let AJ hang for just a little bit longer there, because now AJ is going to be dying incredibly quickly. You're not meant to hit the generators, you're meant to kick them, Abdul. I thought we've been through this before. You have to hit the survivors instead. Going through to Blink for really strong play from AJ. A little nod of approval there from Abdul saying, okay, fair play. I thought you were going one way, but you did juke me just a little bit. And now he's kind of running through blind right now. Is eventually going to catch out Nancy in the middle of nowhere. But this is the corner of the map, and so this is going to allow more time, more space to come through. And because all of these downs and hooks are on the non-obsession, Dying Light is also going to be stacking up and just causing that little bit of extra passive slowdown every single new hook stage. And that, it's not so bad for the first one, 3%, but then as it climbs to 6, 9, 12, it just gets worse and worse to have to deal with.
Yeah, indeed, the Dying Light will be a very, very painful factor there for the Survivor side. CEO of Lurking, Nia and Orochi will need to find a way to get the pressure back. Unfortunately, that will be difficult when we already have a quick injury and potentially a quick down Abdel on the run here, but just a few centimeters too short on the whiff there. We do see Brian reporting the next emergency on the generator, but Abdel trying to fight with Edgemap Anderson, and it's going to be a successful chase. Once again, he's staying alive here, dragging the Nurse all the way to the outside and wasting so much time. And we're going back towards our generator. Will it be enough time? The answer is yes. The Nurse does not get punished right here, has even the time to check on the other generator. CEO of Lurking is going to be the next chase. Will it be a quick injury and down? Once again dragging the Nurse towards the edge map. Abdel with a good reading here around this edge map tile. Quick injury, but we have to return to the other generator. That's the problem here.
It's a gen-based game, and you have to be focusing on the gens. Unfortunately, CEO of Lurking not quite looking like the CEO of Looping right now, taking that early injury, but seems to be working out anyway. Abdul able to kind of move away, and it's quite valuable to be applying Call of Brian to these generators when you can, just for that information, That's actually going to be finding through onto Nia here, and that's a very clean chain blink. Abdul has proven to be deadly thus far on the Nurse so far, and he's looking to kind of reinforce that just a little bit, but he's actually playing really safe, injuring every single survivor, and can now commit to Orochi, who was already hooked earlier, and so will now be dead on hook after this. You have to go for that. You have to go for some kind of play like that if you're Orochi, but there was no realistic chance against Abdul. Abdul is looking so strong, so clean on the Nurse right now. I mean, 9 stages is almost a gimme at this point,
Yeah, that's 9 stages is something. You are halftime now. You have 2 generators remaining. A survivor is eliminated. So I do think Abdel is not going to feel too pressured and too worried. And this is something that he can use for himself. This confidence is something you need for the mind games and the blinks. And as soon as you realize I can do that, I'm playing well, I have the survivor team under control, this is kind of falling into a dynamic onto your killer here, onto the Nurse, and then you're just really, really starting to shine here. Teleport back in the perfect moment. Look at that timing, everyone. What a game sense here being proven by Abdel. Unfortunately, a few centimeters too short once again. Orochi here being camped into death, and that might even be the good one for Abdel here, getting the second elimination out as well, and then 3 more hook stages for the win. Ace is coming in. We could live with any trade, even considering the win condition. Nia will come in and they will take the trade, but Abdel might not worry too much. He does, yeah, he was considering it, but we also know that Ace is around here. Now the Survivor team is also not spreading enough. They have way other stuff to do at the moment in terms of going for either a reset onto the Kate or going for the generators here. So being around the potential save is not the play. Nia on the hook, that would be hook stage 7 and 8 through the progression. So we are so close to 9 stages now, Hector.
Trading is really risky on account of the win condition, you know. It's necessary to stop one of your players getting eliminated and then having to fight the 2v1, but it's so risky because it is, as you say, just an extra hook stage. And say Lurking comes in, the CEO, so to speak, tries to come in, gets another trade, well then that can just be camped out for a win. As simple as that, you know. So that cannot happen again if the trade does come through. I mean, what other option do you have? Orochi's dead on hook, but CEO can just be camped to death if that trade comes through. Nia's probably going to be hanging for a little bit longer here. They'll probably give stage 7 over for free, but this is a really untenable position for the survivors to be in right now, and absolutely nothing, yeah. Not even the United States government right now could get Nia off this hook. Simple as that.
Yeah, Nia second stage 7 overall. That's going to be our Kate rotating in, and that's not going to work, buddy. Not anymore. That was possible like a year ago with the flashlight on the nurse, but this time is over. Behavior has patched it out, so that's going to be now the elimination as well. And this trade, not entirely sure if that was worth it, because now you are 1 player less than you have been before. Next hook stage for Abdel will bring them into the 2-1 and will bring them the needed set point in the nurse set here. CEO of Lurking, maybe this time a CEO of Looping. We will find out in the next Blinks one, and that will be the second one coming out by Abdel. Nice prediction there, even though line of sight
maybe assistant manager of Looping. Assistant manager of Looping seems
assistant manager sounds fair.
Yeah. Lurking hasn't had phenomenal chases. Has never been in a great position, to be honest, so it's not a fair assessment, but Lurking has been caught out quite quickly in every single chase that we have seen them in thus far in this map. Nia does have a Deadard here, which could be worth just a little bit of extra time. It would just be a little bit of a stay of execution. We know that Nia is dying here, and there is no amount of ludicrous looping that can come through for that to be prevented. But Nerves of Steel right now, not popping the Deadard, even when the nurse is right on top of your head right now. Phenomenal play, but you're going to get caught out eventually. I mean, this is Abdel we're talking about, right? Guy's an absolute unit, freak at nurse. I saw him the other day in the gym. He was benching 2 cars. Not even a barbell dyer, just 2 cars at once. One in each hand. Don't know how he does it.
Yeah, Abdel, the new shining nurse on the competitive sky, in this competitive heaven. That would be interesting, right? That will be the very clear second set point going to Eunoia here. They have done a phenomenal job in taking this one. It was a very close matchup. We had a 1-1, then we had a tie, and then we had this nurse set now. So 2-1 theoretically for Eunoia here, but we will play set number 5 regardless, because this is a scrim night. We are here for the practice, so theoretically the best of 5 would be over here. But since we're in a scrim night, we want to see now who's taking it. And honestly, I'm very interested to find out if Eunoia will take a 3-1, because I feel like Frikandel has a very realistic chance in bringing it on a 2-2. And that would also be a great result for a scrim night, taking it with a 2-2. And then having one set being a tie. I feel like this is really fair and would reflect the skill of our teams as well. And we have Frikandel. They were shining whenever we talked about the more mechanical killers in terms of like closer to M1 gameplay. And the Plague, our final set, is a lot about this gameplay. So Frikandel has a good chance, if you're asking me.
Yeah, and playing against Plague is So in chat saying they love how the name Frikandel is pronounced by the English. I mean, how else would you say it? Like Frikandel? I'm not entirely sure. We've been told is some kind of like snack or like food where it's like a sausage in like puff pastry or something like that. But anyway, enough yapping. What was I saying before? Plague. It's going to be very team reliant. So you aren't looking so much for individual 1v1 talent. I mean, it's clear that a player like Abdul has that kind of talent on display. That's not really the problem for us, you know. It's the team play. You need to play the team so... you need to play so together and so coordinated and so tight against a Plague to stop an absolute snowball from happening. Because Plague is up there with, say, the Oni in like some of the most snowbally killers in the game. She's designed around it, to put it bluntly. She is designed around snowballing, and so you have to stop that from happening by any means necessary. And yeah, we're being told that Frikandel is basically a meat stick covered in pastry, eaten with fries. Apparently, that actually sounds delicious.
Yeah, we are learning a lot about food today. On a side note, that's very, very true. But I honestly require a break here before we are going into the final set. We will play the Plague, so everyone make sure that you are around in a few minutes, because we will find out if Eunoia is taking a 3-1 home from this best of 3, or if Frikandel can push it into a 2-2. The Plague coming out for the final set, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you in just a moment. Hello everyone, and we have a no-mither player right here. Nia is feeling ready for all the challenges. The Plague on the Suffocation Pit, one of my favorite sets in competitive Dead by Daylight, because the Plague is such an interesting killer. There's so much decision making around when are we cleansing, where are we cleansing, are we even cleansing, so much around cleansing. So that's just so much of the tactical part there. And then Plague, very often this nice M1 killer that can really test the skill of this survivor team. Undying is leaving the trial early. Pentimento is replacing it immediately. Abdel is kind of mad about the destruction of that totem, and we are going into the first chase here. Instant infection. We have another survivor behind Shaq, by the way, so we're currently chasing 2 survivors that are not able to do anything.
Yeah, and so I'm going to tell you, trust me, the no-mither is not a throw pick here. It's actually pretty good. So you're always dealing with the idea that there'll probably always be someone infected when you're going against a Plague, right? In this case, they're just saying, okay, Nia will just be the first one to tank infection. They're broken anyway, so it literally doesn't matter, right? As a Rochi, falling there is really rough there, in a pretty bad position, caught out, Vile purged all the way to that broken effect. But yeah, Nia can just eat infections every day of the week. You're already broken, so it doesn't really matter, and you do gain that kind of anti-slugging effect. And Plague is a pretty strong slugging killer, having so much limited time but so much lethality in that corrupt does incentivize him to slug. We've seen teams attempt to go for the 4-man slug strategy, but having a no-mither just completely ruins that strategy. So it's almost like you use no-mither to make the best out of a bad situation here, and that's the idea behind it. We have seen it in professional DBD matches before, in the kind of high-tier matches with stakes in the tournament, and so teams obviously experiment with it in scrims as well. It stands to reason that they would, as Abdul going to be doing a little bit of what we refer to as competitive Dead by Daylight right now, which is sitting here. Though this is a pretty good position to sit, you are able to control this corner gen, the hook, and importantly the pentimento as well. So even though you realize that you're going to give up some gens for this, you're going to give them up at a much slower rate on account of that 30% slowdown.
And it's not looking good for Orochi. I feel like we have seen this player leaving the trial quite early multiple times today. It's potentially the shortest scrim night someone has in terms of playtime overall. Orochi was like always lurking into the trial and be like, "Hi guys, I'm part of the roster," and then we already forgot about him because he was tunneled and camped to death.
On the team, bro Orochi thinks they're on the team, bro.
Feels
Unbelievable.
bad, man, but it's an understandable strategy here from Abdel. He has this hook on the bottom corner, he has 2 generators here, he has the Pentimento here. This is the great thing, right? While you're camping this out, you need to be worried about the survivors smashing the generators, but your worry is decreased by 20%. So, I feel like getting the...
The killer is 30% less worried because of Pentimento. New perk, 30% less worried about the game.
Oh dear.
Yes. Jen in the corner is going to be popping as well. Abdel's been toying with the idea of using this crop, but hasn't actually been going for it. Now, he's finding Nia here, so an injure here would go kind of crazy, but it would be a little out the way to end up going for a one of those fountains, but Nia is just stuck in the corner, is just going to take a regular down anyway. And you can see the effect that Pentimento is having right now. In any other situation, we would be at 2 gens right now. Instead, we're at 3, and even though the Z-Wall is the strongest tile in the game, and no one can convince me otherwise, unfortunately, Abdul is just simply too talented with it here. However, they do actually take that window of opportunity to take down the Pentimento, so a good heads-up play from the survivors right now. But now you have your friend in basement against a Plague with 2 fountains nearby. I believe 1 fountain in Shack itself, right? This save is going to be damn near impossible.
Yeah, and now is the big question with the Nia. Are we trying to pull earlier this time? Are we pulling more aggressive potentially? Are we protecting the team member more aggressive? But with that basement, it will be really, really tricky. Unfortunately, I feel like this survivor team doesn't really have a choice because we have this beautiful 3-gen here on the bottom side that we can make, that we can work with. It's not the best one. One is this is not going to work, man. CEO of lurking out of the locker, or what's happening there in the basement? That looked, yeah.
Basement club. Oh, the whole gang in the basement. Whole gang in the basement for a party, but now Abdul has the corrupt as well. Is going to be chasing down Nia with it, seeing how long Nia can last in this chase. And AJ right now has no choice, has to go in basement and pick up CEO, and cannot get caught out. And you dodged that? What the hell? Neo, more like Neo from the Matrix, I guess, bro. Okay, has to be very careful to not get stuck. But some by part, but this is what I was talking about. AJ can't get caught out. AJ has to go straight over. AJ has to go straight over to pick up CEO. Remember, however, Nia does have no Mither, is able to pick themselves up off the ground. So maybe this isn't quite as bad as it initially seems, but if the down onto AJ is quick enough, like in this vicinity, then Nia's just going to get chased down again, be the first one to place on a hook, and then it's just over. And we still have a couple seconds left of this corrupt purge. Is Abdel able to make some of it? This is your last chance right now. You have to use something here. But that opportunity is going to be lost. But AJ is just going to be falling anyway here. And now Nia, we know exactly where that last survivor is. Abdel knows it. We know it. Everyone knows it. It is going to be a regular M1 chase for the most part, but against an injured survivor. I mean, Nia's got to do absolute miracles right now.
And Ace is staying alive longer. Yeah, potentially we can make a bigger turn here, but we would need to run all the way back towards the shack, and this is not really possible, especially with the bloodlust that is coming in any second here. What a turn just after a few seconds.
Yeah, trying to get the chase down onto AJ is trying to get AJ as well. This kind of makes sense because downing Ace there means you'd still have to deal with AJ, and there's time for Nia to pick themselves up with no Mither, right? Instead, by keeping Nia up, you want Nia to be the one on the hook. And see, Logic has crawled all the way off the basement to the middle of the map.
Wow.
That is ludicrous right now. And Nia going down here, not ideal because of the no Mither, knows it right now. But Nia's in a very comfortable position. Like, realistically, where is CEO going to go? Is running side by side with Plague right now? Because that is the only way to get back and get the pickup onto AJ. The pickup is going to be happening. Nothing can really stop that. But Abdul is going to be so close by that how effective it is crazy. But the fact these survivors are still alive right now is such a testament, Dyer.
Yeah, actually, good job for keeping track on the no Mither survivor there, because this is one thing I find really tricky about the Plague. When everyone is injured and broken because of the infection, it is so hard to keep in mind who has the no Mither. And I forgot about it. This is why I was wondering, well, why are we not just downing the ace? And then you pointed it out, and I luckily saw that a few people in chat were confused as well. So now I know that I'm not too old yet. It is an understandable old. Yeah, but I'm not old yet. It's reasonable old, because some other people are as confused as I am.
Sorry, Dyer. What's dementia? What's dementia? Does anyone in chat know? What is dementia?
I'm getting bullied on the desk.
Okay. Anyway, what was I even saying before? Oh yeah, Dyer. Yeah, what's dementia?
This is what I have when it comes to no Mither.
Yes, instead of no Mither, it's just no brain power, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know who else has dementia? I don't, actually. I don't know who else has dementia. Sorry, what's dementia again?
So, ladies and gentlemen, we will see AJ behind the main building in the final chase of this trial. Let's go into it here. This is the only important topic at the moment, but this is maybe one final save. Yeah, we should get that in time now. It's CEO of Looping, hopefully this time. We heard it's an assistant manager of Looping against the Nurse. Hopefully it's a CEO coming out. This time that looks like a housekeeper.
Assistant to the manager is now what we're looking at. Assistant to the assistant
of the manager.
Yeah, of Looping, unfortunately. I mean, it's unfortunate there, but I feel like we are a bit harsh, right? I mean, CEO is always in the worst position imaginable in the end game, which is essentially lost anyway, and then we flame him for going down in chase. It's a little bit mean. This is a scrim after all, and it's not like it would have made too much of a difference if whether that chase lasted 5 seconds or 50, you know. So fair play to Abdul right now. Put in a very good shift on this role, but again, whenever Plague is so strong and so hard to deal with that oftentimes it's kind of on survivor mistakes that will end up allowing the Plague to get away with a lot. And I felt the survivors did make quite a few mistakes today, which did allow, of course, credit to Abdul for taking advantage of those opportunities, but it was very peculiar, especially the whole basement shenanigans. That was interesting.
Pseudo-Orc also, thank you a lot for the subscription. This is what makes the tournaments possible, what goes into the prize pool, into the art you see on the stream. Thank you a lot. And it also goes the thank you to all the people that are happily watching all the ad breaks, and one of them is coming now. So all of you get ready for some shampoo, for some Flixbus tickets, for some, I don't know, medicine against dementia.
What's dementia?
Stop it! I'm not being bullied.
I don't know what dementia is.
So yeah, ad break hype, exactly. This is the spirit. So thank you to everyone who is subscribing. Thank you to everyone who's cheering, is it called on Twitch? Subscribing, cheering, donating, watching the ad breaks, being in chat, all kind of support counts. We are volunteer org after all. So everything we make goes into the prize pools of the tournaments. Everything we receive is going to pay the artists, because these are the people that we cannot slave for free on the desk like Acta for the casting.
I'm sorry, what?
But yeah, it means a lot, and I feel like we cannot point it out often enough how important this support is, that you are the reasons why DBDL is possible, that you are the reasons why the tournaments work. Now we also have a hype train.
Hell yeah.
And
Love a
before
hype train.
before I get sentimental here for all the love, yeah, does DBDL allow console gamers? Yeah, we do. We have no restrictions on that. I will admit to you, it is difficult to find a team with playing on console. I feel like for some reason a lot of teams have this very clear, strict statement of saying we want PC players only. But when you find a team or when you form a team, then there's no issue at all. You can play it.
Yeah, I mean, the console scene is going to be lessened than the PC scene. That is kind of just the case in most. That is the case in most esports. Unfortunately, you're going to be hard pressed to find ones that are more controller based. I mean, with shooters especially. I mean, Dead by Daylight isn't exactly a shooter. It is mechanically simple, so the need for controls isn't amazing, at least on the survivor side of things. But on the killer side, it definitely helps, especially on Blight, Nurse, where you need to actually be hitting like your flicks. Wesker, even a mouse is very, very necessary there, and console is a little bit of a problem. It's a smaller scene, but if you can find a team, if you can get people together, then hell yeah, I think you can still sign up to DBDL.
Yeah, and also again for these scrim nights, take the chance. Message Savannah, message me, and I'll send you to Savannah. If you want to participate in these scrim nights, you can come with your comp team. You can say, we would like to try comp. Maybe we'll find a second team that doesn't have tournament experience yet. And then we can make it a night of like, let's make the very first experience in comp. So, yeah, this...
Yeah. Apparently people are enjoying the ads right now. People are enjoying the adverts right now.
That means a lot.
We've got deodorant ads, we've got toothbrush ads, we've got makeup, Taco Bell. Taco Bell will go crazy right now. But I have food in the fridge, so I'm not going to. What are you having for dinner today, Direwolf? But while we're in a break and like 5 people can hear us, what are you having for dinner, Direwolf?
I actually had pasta with a very special bolognese sauce. I make no bolognese myself even anymore since I discovered it. We are having a farm not far away, just a couple of minutes actually, and they are making the best bolognese sauce you can imagine in a nice glass, just a little portion. Costs quite some money, but it's really, really nice. It's directly from their farm. It's with carrots a little bit as well. Nice ingredients, very high quality, and it's being sold in the supermarket. And since I discovered this one, I'm not eating spaghetti bolognese in restaurants anymore. I'm not cooking it myself anymore. It is so good that I'm so in love with it.
Wow. That is intense. It sounds like you have a very personal sounds like you have a very personal relationship with this bolognese.
For everyone who was not in an ad break yet because they are subscribers of DBDL, this was your personal ad break by me.
We've been paid off by the bolognese company to eat more bolognese. Oh my god, Jesus Christ. I mean, first it was your obsession with fat, and now it's your obsession with this bolognese. So, I mean, like, go for it, bud. I'm having an oven pizza and garlic bread. So, yeah. I live a complicated life, I do. As a student, I live a very complex life.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. I still have lots of noodles downstairs. I'm actually not eating that much today. Like I got some beef jerky on the way back from the gym. I've really been liking tuna melt wraps. I've been making them. They're really good. It's so simple. You just take tuna, season it a bit, put like some low-fat mozzarella on top, pop it in the oven for like 5 minutes so the mozzarella like melts and stuff. wrap it up, and bam, you got lunch, and it is delicious.
Yeah.
And just, mwah. I don't know why we're talking about food, but maybe it's because I'm hungry. I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, so
well.
in terms of the ad breaks, because some people brought it up, so we are pressing the ad breaks whenever we are on a break or a campfire chat. However, we are aware that sometimes when we are pressing the ad break, it doesn't appear for some people, and then it's either delayed mid-game, or it's the standard ad break that Twitch is sometimes taking, the 30-second ad break or something. And what we can do is when we enter campfire chat or when we enter a break, then we can press the add button, how it's supposed to be. But if that is coming on your end during a game or a shorter ad break that is automatically triggered by Twitch, this is something we cannot control. We have to play ads every single break as soon as we can, because we really need these resources for the prize pools and for the artist payment, because we are all volunteers. We don't have support by behavior. We don't have a sponsor. For that, we would need to reach Twitch partner, which we are currently grinding for. But right now, it is really these ads that are making DBDL possible, and the people that are subscribing, donating, or cheering and watching the ads. So yeah, we are trying to put it right into... we are trying to put it right onto the... Jesus Christ, with an absolute escalation. 10 gifted subs. What am I watching? Jesus, that is also 38 gifted subs overall. This is crazy. This is... I don't know. This is the moment where I wish we would be on 10-minute delay, because I always never know what to say when people are so generous. And thank you, Chris. We appreciate it a lot. 38 gifted subs overall is just crazy. Thank you for making it possible. Thank you for coming around, and thank you for being so amazing. And amazing is... this was the worst intro ever, but amazing is also hopefully the spirit that the Plague can take over. I'm done.
Yeah, so a lot of subs, my goodness. But anyway, about the game itself, Orochi's going for the interesting strategy here of not actually committing to early infections, but instead going for picking up one of those corrupt pools and just going to town on the survivors. This gives you more lethality at the start of the game, means that you'll have a kind of... you have the ability to get hits like that, apparently, so I guess it's just the best strat in the world from Orochi right now. But it's interesting anti-synergy here, because they have brought Thanatophobia along. Thanatophobia, a phenomenal perk on the play because of the ease of injuring multiple survivors at once. But also, like, what's the idea here when you reward yourself for injuring survivors quickly and efficiently, but then instantly pick up your corrupt spit anyway? It's a very interesting decision. Now corrupt's going to be decaying, and you don't yet have a down for it, so picking up one of your corrupted pools and not downing with it is a very, very kind of poor play. And Orochi has to leave now, so you commit to that chase with Sponge and you don't even get anything out of it. That's a really rough start here.
Absolutely, yeah. It is really rough for Orochi. You would really love to have more than one infection, that's for sure. And you are looking forward to apply quite some injuries, because when Ruin and Plague are falling together to become really dangerous is the moment when the survivors have to pull away early, because they cannot take 2 tags anymore. And then comes the moment where Hex Ruin is really kicking in. So you need injuries, you need broken status effects, and you need quite a grasp onto the survivor team, and this is not happening so far. Now we're seeing Fats being in chase. He might be on 100 infection anytime soon, but unfortunately most of this puke is also missing the target here. Going back onto Besk, and that's going to be the infection, at least now taking out the power. This needs to be a successful run with the power though.
Yeah, and if there's a time to do it, it is now. It is possible. You do have Besk here, who is locked down, bit of a rough position, but dodging, juking, ducking, diving, dipping, dodging very effectively right there away from this corrupt. And it can be deceptively tricky to actually lock down a survivor in like a proper loot like this with lots of walls and things like that. Or even out in the open as well. It could just be absolutely impossible, I suppose. Has to be very careful of this pallet. Remember that being stunned in any form head-on before it got banned in our balancing was a problem for Plague players because it was a stun and it would knock them out their power, but pallets you have to be very, very careful of. Fats and Sponge are both injured up. If they could be found and potentially locked down here, that'd be wonderful, but you're not going to be able to do it. Instead, that's going to be 2 gens falling by the wayside. Now as the survivors, I believe you only need 2 more generators as the survivors here to just take the win overall.
Yeah, absolutely. That's now, though, the question, can the Plague also pull more benefit from it? Fat, Sponge, Survivor team still looking quite confident, looking quite safe here as well. We do have the chase behind the main building now. We are just destroying the pallet, leaving the Claudette alone. No, we are actually going one move around, trying to confuse maybe a little bit, taking the power again. So let's hope that there is quite some pressure. At least one down needs to happen due to the power. I wouldn't even be surprised if we see a slug, because we need to remember the other game that we've just seen in the first trial was a little bit of a greeting there, but we only had 3 generators done, so we need... Oh, nice mind game. We need some slug actor when this is coming out.
I mean, it has to be, yeah. Like, the only thing you have in your favor is that now every single survivor is injured, so Thanatophobia is procced at a maximum level. Do believe that's 20% slowdown. Do correct me if I'm wrong, not sure of the precise numbers, but it is now quite significant with Ruin up as well. Survivors seem happy to just try and bully out the generators. It's interesting how in a lot of matches that we see at the highest levels, Ruin is like public enemy #1. Like, that just has to go. Here, these teams don't seem all that keen to get rid of it. And now Rochi is having a very successful run with that Corrupt Purge, getting Shiro and Besk both down at the same time. You have a hook, a down, 2 injuries, and a large soda. It's not a bad day at the office for Orochi right now.
Not a bad day at the office indeed, and this is also what I personally love about the Plague so much. We can see this difference here, right? It's like when we are comparing now from 2 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago, we were talking about first injury coming out. This is rough. We only have 1 infection so far. And 3 minutes later, 1 or 2 great power usage. The survivor team being a little bit overconfident maybe and taking a little bit too much risk, like this player right here, Besk. Definitely rotating for the Anuk without carefully calculating where the killer is. And out of nowhere, we are talking from a potential disaster about a potential win even.
Yeah, and Fats and Sponge are both injured up, and Fats has been found out here. Your boy going to be falling by the wayside, not playing this P&L wall quite so effectively. Shiro fortunately saved from the hook, but that's from Sponge, and now you know where a lot of the survivors are. They are able to pick up Besk, however, so that is a good play coming out, but survivors are in such a bad position right now, and this is the issue. One of them is going to have to cleanse now. You can't just rely on you having a no Mither player who's cracked at the game to just run the killer over and over again. Like, you need to be cleansing someone here, but it's not like that's a good thing against a bunch of injured survivors, because then you give one of the strongest chase powers in the game over to Rochi Snake. Most of Rochi Snake's corrupt purges were not great, but that last one has dealt lasting damage to the survivors.
Yeah, will they make a very fantastic recovery here? Almost maybe unexpected recovery. I mean, now it's more likely. We are having 4 survivors back on their feet. The 3rd generator is coming out, so we are talking about a tie here. Will Orochi be able to keep it with a tie, or will Eunoia force the next win and end this here with a 3-1 instead? This is the interesting question we have ahead of us, ladies and gentlemen. We will find out here. Though we might even see the punishment coming in just for this hook stage alone, that we will see generator number 4 coming out in the distance. It seems like that doesn't happen yet. We also have the Hex Ruin still in place. Thanatophobia is helping, but the problem is this generator here towards the main building is so far from the hook stage and is so difficult also to defend, because anytime the plague is coming up here, the survivors can basically hide behind the main building, and that makes it so difficult.
Yeah, it is so difficult, as you say, it's so difficult to have to deal with on the it's so difficult to have to deal with right now. Orochi is just circling around here, trying to play with their food just a little bit, get Shiro down, but any single time that you commit to this chase for more than 5 seconds, and any time you have to commit for even longer than that because you whiff your hit at the pallet, it just allows more time. And if it's this far gen that isn't being pressured, then, you know, the people who just came off the hook are more than happy to break the 3 gen on the other side of the map too. There's no good position right now, and Shiro's doing such a phenomenal job of looping in just the perfect spots and still has resources to work with. The team not just amazing in the 1v1, but also so efficient as a team as well. It is beyond me that a generator has not popped at this point and the win has not gone over to the survivors yet.
Absolutely. Considering how long we are now back on the bottom side as well, and I mean, we have seen them doubling up on the top side. They are aware of this generator, and they are aware that they are able to force the win just by taking this main building generator, and we are still next to the shack. Hello, Eunoia, where's that final generator, or at least the 4th one for the win condition? What is happening? What are they doing up there? I thought they were building up an IKEA wardrobe next to the generator or something.
Oh, yeah, IKEA.
No,
I mean, look, it's done, okay? The 4th gen is done. It's fine. It's done. All right? Yeah. It took a long time. It took a very long time, but Eunoia managed it by the skin of their teeth to actually complete a generator. Like, you can definitely critique past performance. You can think, it should have been done like light years ago. This one is going to be finished, hopefully in the killer's face if you're a Eunoia fan. Yeah, that is going to be finished up. So definitely taking the clean win, 3-1 here in our scrim today. Not the results matter that much realistically, but Eunoia definitely proving themselves as the better team here on paper today, at the very least. Now we just have a little bit of an end game to get through, Dyer.
Absolutely, a 3-1 for Eunoia. Frikandel with 1 set point. We have seen one amazing tie earlier as well, but even though it might look so clear on the paper with a 3-1, I feel like we need a big shout out to Frikandel here. Frikandel deserves to get a huge shout out and the compliment, because it was one hell of an interesting fight, that's for sure. It was entertaining and it was really, really good to watch. And therefore, Frikandel and Eunoia, thank you so much both for showing us a great scrim, an interesting scrim, and being really fast on the lobby setup. This is something we need to point out as well. They were really, really
fast on the lobby setup. They were fast on the lobby setup. It's as simple as that. Yeah, I mean it works out for us
team
because,
management.
like, I'm a chronic yapper, all right? I feel like everyone's figured it out by this point. So I could talk about nothing for ages, but if I don't have to, then that's brilliant. As Shiro does a little dance on the floor. I wonder what that's all about. But oh well, Orochi. It's a good shift at the end of the day. It is a 4K, but it's just that the way the cookie crumbles. Letting every single gen go means that Eunoia do win this one out. But very fair play to both of these teams, to be honest.
Yep. And someone asked in chat, I mean, not someone, it was actually Ray asking if I will play killer again against the community. Not today. I had a very stressful day at school. Then I sprinted home. And
hello, Ray.
Then we were casting. So that's not going to work today. Maybe tomorrow. Let's see. how it turns out. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Eunoia and Frikandel, they deserve one hell of and this is perfect for the Pride Month here as well. Hell yeah, some celebration to end this stream very nicely. And as said, Frikandel, Eunoia, thank you so much for being here around, and we can already start with a little bit of an outro here. First of all, thank you so much, Ekta, for vibing with me today and tomorrow as well.
I am just I'm just the #1 vibe man. What can I say? I'm so hyped. I'm so handsome, muscular as well. Just great overall. Right? I don't know how I do it, to be honest. I'm also extraordinarily humble. That's the last point.
And we will leak Ekta's number, of course, so you can all contact him after this great advertisement.
Wait. Oh, no.
Then also a huge thank you to the teams, a huge thank you to Derolog in the background, one of our team members, taking the live score sheet. A very stressful job, as I can tell from my own experience. Then Savannah with a huge shout out for producing and bringing the stream to life. As said again, if you wish to be here next week on the Scrim Night, then message Savannah. You will find her in our Discord server. The Discord server you can find with !Discord. There you find all the announcements, all the rules, the 1v1 ladder. And last but not least, thank you so much for the audience coming around, for all the support, for all the nice messages, for all the amazing laugh and support that we are getting. Since we are a volunteer-based org, it only works with the support of the team in the background, your support as the audience, and the support from the teams and the players putting up a great show. Again, Frikandel and Eunoia have put up a great show, so we can certainly say we welcome them back later on in DBDL.